starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the Cow Killer, Casey McCollister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
And welcome on into Off the Bench Chatterbox Sports. We are not on the radio today. It is just a YouTube show. The Reds have an afternoon game, which means we are not on the radio, so this is just a free-for-all. We're just old schooling it today. That's what it is. It used to just be YouTube, and now we're just doing YouTube today. That's what it is. I'm here with Jacob Tissett on my left. We have Reed and Mouse running the keys over there in Casey's spot. And then we have Jimmy over there as always, as per usual. We've got a great show for you today. We're talking about the Cincinnati Reds. It's going to be a Reds-themed show after last night's disgusting effort. One of the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. But nonetheless, we're going to have to talk about it and get into it.
Yesterday's show was all-time positive Reds.
It was.
And as soon as we get off air, Lodolo to the IL in one of the most embarrassing outings of the season.
Most of you know I'm a very negative Reds persona. I have a very negative Reds personality when it comes to this team. And today it's going to all come out. Because what I saw last night was absolutely unforgivable. I don't know if that's David Bell. We're going to get into all of it. But, gentlemen, how are we doing today? We'll start with Jimmy. Jimmy, I want to start with you. How are you doing today? They were saying I was being mean to you yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think I was being mean. I was just telling it how it was, Jim. The Tigers aren't very good.
It's okay. I had a great night last night. I watched the Tigers for a little bit because Tarek Skubal was going up against Ranger Suarez, so had to watch that pitching duel. Tigers actually won. Skubal threw 7 shutout innings, which was very fun to watch. And the Reds got blown out. So then I was thinking, after both those games ended, wow,
sure.
Elliot really made fun of me yesterday, and it kind of hurt my feelings. And it only took one day for it to go back to normal.
So you're saying
Normal.
So you're saying I did this to us is what you're kind of trying to allude there.
You called the Tigers a loser franchise.
Which they are.
Which, sure. But the next, 8 hours later, the Reds got blown out. So
Yeah, they did get blown out.
I guess that's what you get.
And it's true. It's karma. You were alluding that it was karma, and that's fine. Jacob, how are you?
I'm all right. Got to watch the Hamilton Joes last night. That was a grand old time. Chatterbox night. You threw out a dime of a first pitch.
I did throw out a
Almost
really good
got
first
to the catcher's
pitch.
glove.
Here's the thing. I was told I was doing the first pitch, and being the comedian I am, I needed to be a showman and try to have the worst first pitch imaginable. I was told before the pitch by my boss, Trace Fowler, hey, Elliot, can you throw it over the net? And you can make a whole bit out of this. I didn't do that. Instead, I bounced it 15 feet in front of the catcher. I threw it hard, though. Many people were complimenting about how hard I threw that ball. The speed on the radar was at least 91, right?
That's what I heard.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great game. I had a fun time.
It's a tough look when they offer you the spot in front of the mound to throw it from, and you say, "No, I'm gonna throw it from the mound," and then it's about the distance from the mound to the spot you were supposed to throw it from that you got short.
We were trying to negotiate with the owner of the Hamilton Joes to let us next Chatterbox night be the managers of the squad. How much fun would it be to go in full Hamilton Joes garb, coach the base paths, make the moves, do all the fun stuff that managers get to do, and then we'll top it off with a pure David Bell moment and get thrown out in the 7th inning.
If the Hamilton Joes let me manage a game, you better bet I'm getting thrown out.
Yeah.
Were you guys there? The pitcher got thrown out.
No, really?
Oh, yeah, he got thrown out. I think you guys left probably an inning after you guys left. He got thrown out. He got out of a jam and MF'd the batter. Just Yep. They said, see you later. Smell you later.
That's nice. That's good stuff. Baseball, baby.
Baseball is great. I will say, I like that ballpark. I like it. It reminds me, it's much better than the Cincinnati Steam's ballpark, as Reed liked to make fun of yesterday. They play at West High.
West High is not a terrible field. It's just not a good field.
I enjoy it, but I do like that baseball field yesterday. It reminded me of like a backyard baseball. Like you got the houses in the background, you got the church in the background. It's a cool little park.
I got married at that church.
You did? Yep. How about that?
That's my church.
So outside of that, that's pretty much it yesterday. Did we do anything else yesterday? I don't think we did anything too exciting. Oh, Jacob and I went to Texas Roadhouse. It was the first time I've been there in years. I don't know when the last time I went, but in between work and the game, Jacob's like, let's go there. So we each get our thing. Jacob ordered a salad.
The small salad,
and it was the biggest salad I've ever seen in my
I've
entire
never seen in my
life.
life.
Listen.
Tremendous value.
I mean, it was incredible.
Texas Roadhouse doesn't know about inflation.
No.
They don't know about shrinkflation. I get mad. I'll go to McDonald's. My order costs $12, $13. I can go get a steak, 2 sides, and unlimited rolls at Texas Roadhouse. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Was it crowded?
No, it wasn't too bad. It was certainly filling in when we were leaving, though.
Pretty crowded.
Yeah, so outside of that, that was it. It was a good distraction from the Reds game last night. And we're going to get into the Reds game. We're going to go over headlines, and we're going to do all this. But that was truly the worst baseball game of the season. From start to finish. I defended David Bell yesterday. Going to have to walk it all back today. That's just what it is being a Reds fan. Every take I have gets ruined the next day. So I'm going to have to walk back everything I said.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Graham Ashcraft back.
We set a new record yesterday. On the show, we said Graham Ashcraft will probably not pitch for the Cincinnati Reds again this season. Starting pitcher today, Graham Ashcraft. New record.
Yeah, by the way, breaking news regarding that front. The Reds had just tweeted out. They recalled Graham Ashcraft optioned Yosver Zuleta, I think. That's who I'm going to say.
Very good
He
last
looked
night.
good last
pitched
night,
very well.
but he got sent right back down. And additionally, infielder Noelvi Marte has been returned from a rehab assignment.
Ruh-roh.
So I don't know what that means. But
Same wording as Jabot and Williamson, as Nate Seltzer pointed out in the chat. So.
yeah, I don't like that. That would be unfortunate.
If Noelvi Marte is hurt now, I'm going to be more broken than I am already.
We got to be positive, though.
We'll have to trash the Reds are cursed video from yesterday and remake it because they're still cursed.
If Noelvi Marte is hurt and he's not going to play, I'm out.
Well, here's the thing.
I legitimately can't do it anymore.
80 games with Santiago Espinal.
I can't do it.
So, guys,
it would have to be.
We're talking about trashing the Reds are cursed video. I've got some inside baseball. Didn't have the mics turned on to the recording. So I didn't want to tell you guys that yesterday because I think morale was already kind of low. So that 6-minute recording, 7-minute recording that we did, you guys look great.
Really?
You guys look great.
Oh, my.
So
Casey, if you're watching.
Serious?
Casey, if you're watching.
This isn't my situation here, right? So I had it coming through my headset. I had it sending to the headset, going through vMix. It just wasn't going through the output. So it was coming through the computer, coming to me, so I could hear you guys. You guys were talking. You sounded great.
What about the other one that we did?
Oh, the other one's great.
Oh, perfect.
The other one's out. It just got sent on private because no one watched it at 8 p.m. last night. So
good.
We're going to re-release it. If you guys want to hear our thoughts on the 25 toughest places to play, it'll be on our YouTube later. There you go.
It was a good argument.
Give it a second.
Great. It was
give it a second
actually
run.
very heated.
Great argument.
I got the assignment better than these guys did. But yeah, the cursed video did not have audio sent to it. So we're gonna have to re-record that. I knew that 3 minutes after we made the video. I just didn't have the heart to tell you guys. I just didn't have it in my weak little heart. And while we're just talking about bad communication, I felt so bad today when I walked into the office and I saw Casey was sitting here and he looked just the sickest human being that's ever humaned. And I was like, Casey, what are you doing here? Like, if you're sick. And then I looked at our text and I said, see you on Wednesday from 2 days ago. So that's old Rita Roo, just like, hey man, I don't care if you got cancer. You better show up to work. You got to do your job.
You're a strong-arming boss. That's what they always say.
I told Casey, I was like, that's on me. Please go home. Please get better.
It could have been a Jordan flu game from Casey. It could have been. But it's lost now.
Craig clarifies the Noelvi news. He says that since he wasn't there on an injury rehab, being returned is a good thing, and he'll be activated for tomorrow's game versus St. Louis, reportedly. So hallelujah if true.
Would be big. I just can't do the injury stuff anymore.
I need to watch
I can't-
someone other than Ellie in the infield that's exciting. India's playing great right now, but he's not the Matt McClain New Elvie level that I was expecting.
India's the best. I mean,
India's going to be
When-
so
when are
sick
we
in
gonna-
the Southside jersey when Luis Roberts and
when are we gonna say India's been the best player on the team?
No small sample size
He's been
qualms with this one?
He's been
Nope.
really good ever
All
since
year.
you said he was done.
You know what? That's actually your best point that you've made. I declared India done about a month ago, and immediately Jonathan India takes off. I'm wrong so many times it's scary. All right, continue. Let's just go over it. Let's just
You
talk.
know what I love though?
What?
You keep swinging.
I do.
And every take you have, you are convinced that it's right.
This is why Mark got real mad when people were saying that the Reds games don't get too upset. I get upset and I get angry. And today, unfortunately for the Reds, I'm angry again, like the Hulk. The Reds played their worst game of the season, as I mentioned last night. It was a joke from the start. Hunter Greene puked after the second batter of the game. He looked horrendous. The Reds looked horrendous. Gross. Hunter Greene says throwing up during the game was not a result of overhydrating, as that has been an issue in the past. He did the opposite, then alluded to stomach issues. Gonna take some pills for my stomach, quote, and hope it goes away. Just hope and pray. That's what this medical staff does. We just hope and we pray they get it right once in a while. But continuing on here.
I don't think this is a medical staff thing.
But here's the thing with that. They left him in the game.
I would too. If he says he's fine, you leave him in the game.
He's puking on the field.
He puked in Pittsburgh and had one of the best outings of his season.
That was water.
If he's not, he said he wasn't sick. He said
We'll
it wasn't
we'll
overhydrating.
talk about
When
it.
it comes to puking, it is very much like how you feel thing. How
Sure.
it's individual. It's individual. It's not a constant thing. Because like I always bring up, when I see athletes puke on the field, that blows my mind. Because if I puke, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
My day is done. I'm doing nothing else. I puke like one time every 6 years. So that is just, in fact, I might take tomorrow off if I puke. Like that's just it for Rita-Roo. And there's other people. I remember my best friend when I was like 10 years old. We're at baseball practice. It's really hot. And he just puked in the outfield and just continued on practice. I watched that and I was like, dude, if I puked, go ahead and get me a plot at St. Stephen's. I'm going down 6 feet under. I'm done.
I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it all. Hunter Greene went 4 innings, giving up 6 earned runs, striking out 5. Woohoo. Mitch Keller went 5 innings and 2/3, 5 and 2/3, giving up 4 runs, 3 earned, while striking out 6. Again, absolutely disgusting. Jonathan India, hottest player on the planet, though. 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, 2 walks, 3 runs scored, and 2 stolen bases. Does it get any better than Jonathan India, gentlemen? No, it does not. He is on a 7-game hitting streak. He's on a 7-game hitting streak, and he's hitting well over 300 over his last 7 games. He's been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You want to put that up, Rita-Roo?
I already put it up.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We'll throw it again.
Put it back up.
Put it back up, just for fun, just so Elliot can see it.
Jonathan Windia.
That's right.
Reds lost.
Ellie De La Cruz got his average up to over 250 last night with a double and a walk. Spencer Steer added 2 hits as well with another double and another run batted in. Brian Reynolds, 2 for 5 with a 2-home-run game. He extends his hit streak to 22 over his last 7. Brian Reynolds is hitting .423 with a 500 OBP and a 923 slug with 4 home runs and 7 runs batted in. Over his last 30 games, Brian Reynolds is hitting .330 with a 370 OBP, slugging .600. Brian Reynolds is a now Reds killer, as is most
Great
people.
contract.
I brought up that I absolutely hate Christian Yelich, and I think that's a unique thing. I love Brian Reynolds, and I have since he's been very young for the Pirates. I love Brian Reynolds. Love the way he plays. Brian Reynolds fan, especially when he kills the Reds.
You just love the Pirates.
The Pirates are your favorite NL Central
Yeah,
team.
they're your
They
favorite.
are. They are.
The reason
That's
I
true.
like the Pirates
Raise
is
the
'cause
Jolly Roger.
there is a belief in this city that they are beneath the Cincinnati Reds, and I just don't think that's true. So that's why I root for the Pirates. Also, my best friend is a Pirates fan.
Okay. The Reds are back at it this afternoon, maybe. 1:10 first pitch as the return of Graham Ashcraft has arrived after me saying it might not happen ever this season. Luis Ortiz has a 3.45 ERA with 36 strikeouts and a 1.30 WHIP. This afternoon, Graham Ashcraft has a 5.05 ERA, 49 strikeouts, and a 1.49 WHIP. Other Reds news, they have reassigned top 100 prospect Connor Phillips from AAA to the Arizona Complex League. He has a 10.11 ERA on the season. Tough. That might actually, you talk about curses, the city being, we might have actually cursed Connor Phillips. That hand up, that might have been us. And I'm very sorry to admit that, but I mean, a 10.11 ERA in every outing's been worse than the next. Ever since we went up to Arizona. Tough. I can't explain that one. Around the league, the Guardians win a thriller against the Orioles 10-8. 4 different Orioles hit home runs, but it was not enough. Tigers, they beat the Phillies 4-1. Skubal is 9-3 on the season, only allowing 3 hits and 7 strikeouts. He has a 2.3 ERA with a 0.9 WHIP. Jim, the Tigers.
It's pretty damn good.
How about that?
It's pretty good.
Do you think he can win the Cy Young?
I think he will win the Cy Young.
Good for him.
Massive favorite.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like even money.
Well,
He's plus 190.
He had-
Corbin Burns plus 300.
yeah. He had a couple rough starts like last week in Atlanta, but he bounced back. He outdueled Ranger, so I think that tells you a lot.
There's a guy that I follow on Twitter that like predicts who's gonna win the Cy Young Award in the American League every year, and like it's never like just Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander, but who he picks is normally a young guy like Skubal who like has had decent years or like starting to come up, and without a doubt, it's going to be a top 3 pick. Like the one year he picked Dylan Cease, and Dylan Cease finished 3rd in the thing. I guarantee like Cole Raggins is going to be his pick next year. He's on top of it. Shout out to Ryan Spader.
All right, continuing on here. The Rays, they blow out the Mariners 11-3. Ben Rortvedt homered and drove in 4 runs. Never heard of Ben Rortvedt, but apparently good player. Mets beat the Yankees in the Battle of the Subway, 9-7. The Yankees scored 5 in the 8th to try and come back, but it was not enough. Garrett Cole threw 6 innings of 7 hits, 6-run baseball, added 4 walks to that stat line as well. Yikes. Garrett Cole, 2 starts. I know it's early, but 2 starts and he hasn't looked good at all whatsoever. But
Great to see.
Good news for the Yankees is they're still 100 games over 500. So
Yeah, my friends that are Yankees fans texted me yesterday. They're like, this is getting annoying. We're losing a lot of games. I said, buddy,
yeah,
I'd kill to be where you're at.
losing a lot of games. Blue Jays crushed the Red Sox 9-4. Vladimir Guerrero had 4 RBIs, 2 doubles. Tyler O'Neill had another one for the Red Sox. Astros take out the trash against the Rockies 5-2. That final, Hunter Brown tossed 6 shutout innings, only allowing 2 hits while striking out 7. This is a fun one. The Brewers, and when I say fun, I mean not really. The Brewers win 3-1 over the Rangers. Brewers are now 19-5 in their last 24 home games, including 4 straight wins. The team is 9-2-1 in series play at home this season and have won their last 8 home series. Is Milwaukee the toughest place to play?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Because
moving
the
on.
team's good.
Marlins narrowly defeat the Royals 2-1. The Dodgers, they come back to beat the White Sox. White Sox blew an early lead yet again. That's all they do. Shohei Ohtani hit an NL-leading 24th home run of the season. When he's not pitching, I feel like you don't really notice Shohei, but then you look at his stats and it's like, oh yeah, he's still the best player in the league. Just a fun little stat there, a little nugget. Angels, they defeat the Athletics 7-5. The A's have now lost 14 of their last 17 games. Tough move to Sacramento. Diamondbacks, they survive against the Twins 5-4. Padres win 9-7 against the Nationals. After getting into it with a Padres fan 2 nights ago, Jesse Winker answered last night with a massive home run and took a very slow trot around the bases as Padres fans booed him all around the bases.
Is there a better rivalry in baseball than Jesse Winker and away fans?
I don't think there is.
Is it time to ask the age-old question? Is Jesse Winker a good hang?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know. I think I'm saying Jesse Winker is not a
Bad
good
hang.
bad hang. Jesse Winker.
Wow.
He used to. I think he has a baby with one of Mariana's friends. So shout out to Jesse.
Congratulations, Jesse.
Congratulations, Jesse. And finally, the Cubs, they lost to the Giants 5-1. Meatball Hendricks played well. Meatball Hendricks threw up a gem, but it was not enough. The Cubs can't score any runs. A bullpen day for the Giants proved too difficult. Thoughts on your Cubs, your beloved Cubs?
And the Cubs, since I believe Mother's Day, are 13-30.
Ooh.
That's not great.
That's what you would describe as bad. Chicago Cubs hate moms ever since Mother's Day.
What a take that is. NBA, Mikal Bridges was traded to the Knicks. Mikal Bridges yet to miss a game in his career and will now play for...
Including college.
Really?
Since high school.
And will now play for Tom Thibodeau.
Who does his best.
Who will try his best to run him into the ground. We will see how that plays out this season. But that is it for your headlines, unless I missed something, gentlemen. That is what I saw from last night. But yeah, speaking of last night, we'll just get right into it. The Reds. I've sat through this team this season. I've switched my opinion, flip-flop, 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 on pretty much every take I have, and I'm very sorry about that. But I'm a reactionary fan. I see it how it is every single night, and then every night it can obviously change. Last night was a team that was unprepared, they were unprofessional, and they gave you a product that quite literally minor league teams don't equate to. Jonathan India and Ellie De La Cruz, thank you for showing up. Spencer Steer, thank you for showing up. This was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Hunter Greene was evidently not ready to go from the start. And I understand that if a guy's telling you he's good to go, he's good to go. But if he is puking on the mound, can we maybe get a mound visit and say, like, hey, Hunter, maybe tonight's not your night after you're puking after giving up a home run? Let's maybe not do that. He was doing it last night. And this is where David Bell stuff, I'm going to start walking back on some takes. David Bell not pulling his starting pitcher after that is lunacy. David Bell leaving him in for 4 innings is lunacy. If you don't want to pull him after the first, like Jacob said, fine, don't do it. Let him keep going. By the 3rd inning, when he was at 70 pitches and the bases were loaded and nobody was out, maybe can we start pulling him then, right? At some point, you sit in the dugout and you realize your guy doesn't have it. Nobody didn't have it more than Hunter Greene last night. They threw that guy out to the Wolves, and everybody else just had to sit there and watch as he was battling a stomach flu, virus. I don't know what Hunter Greene had. I applaud Hunter Greene for trying to go out there and pitch through a sickness. But if you don't have it, do not go out there. He didn't have it. David Bell letting him continue to pitch is a joke. Bad managerial decision all the way around. I don't know if I agreed with Reed's take yesterday that Fernando Cruz shouldn't have pitched. In the large scheme of things, I don't think it makes that big of a deal. I think last night, a far bigger deal. A far bigger deal. That's your ace. We just lost Nick Lodolo, which we haven't talked about on this show yet. We're losing Nick Lodolo. And we're going to serve Hunter Greene up to the Wolves against the Pirates? No. Inexcusable by David Bell. I guess I'll go around the room here. Jacob, your thoughts on David Bell's decision?
I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think if Hunter Greene tells the whole training staff and all the coaching and everything before the game that he feels good, then he goes out there and he throws up. And obviously they did come out right after he threw up. Vera and Derek Johnson came out there and checked on him, and can't hear that conversation, obviously, but you assume he told him he feels fine. And he threw up his last start as well, and it was one of the best starts he had of the entire season. So I think if Hunter Greene's going to tell you he's fine, he's fine. I understand your point about once it starts to spiral a little bit, maybe you pull him then. But again, it's one game. You're pulling your starting pitcher after 3 innings when he tells you he's fine. Then you're just burning your entire bullpen before you go into a pretty tough stretch here against the Cardinals and the Yankees. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think it was a bad call. I would have loved to see him not throw up on the mound, but I think it comes down to the player. And if he says he's fine, he's fine. You have to trust him.
I understand that. If the player's saying he's fine, at some point you have to take the guy's word for it. But there's also a point to the job. The manager job, everybody knows my opinion on it. I'm not going to go into it right now. But his job should be to monitor at least if his players are healthy enough to be out there.
I don't think it was sickness. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Hunter Greene said it was sickness in the interview.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he said it was.
He said it was his stomach. He was going to take some pills to feel better.
Yeah.
Said it wasn't overhydration. But I'm with you about this, Jacob, that when it comes to puking, you've just got to ask the player because you can't tell what's going on. So you just got to ask them straight up, say, hey, what's going on? You okay? And then I think you honestly just take him at his word. You take him at his word for that. Because, like I said earlier, puking affects people differently. It truly does. Like some people, it puts them on the couch for a week. Some people, they're ready to rock 2 seconds later. Hunter Greene did it recently, seemed like to be the latter, not the former. And if he says he's good, which we're not in the dugout, we're not in those conversations. I have a hard time believing that David Bell told him, like, hey, you got to go back out there, buddy. I assume it was hey, are you good to go? And then that was that.
I don't think he was out there saying you need to go out there no matter how bad you feel. But David Bell, I think if you use your eyes a little bit and you see that he's up-chucking after pitches, that's the time to be out there and be like, all right, I know you say you're good, but maybe you're not good. Because that's what it was last night, evidently. He came out and he said the quote, I'm going to take some pills to hopefully this goes away. It is a stomach issue. That's why I got upset. If Hunter Greene would have said it's water, then fine. But the quote after the game was, he's not feeling well. I have a hard time believing Hunter Greene said, yeah, it was just water, coach. Well, if he's saying that to the media after the game.
I 100% think he told them he wasn't sick. 100%.
I also...
Yeah, like
professional athletes do not want to miss starts and miss games. If you can tell your coach that you're good to play and you don't feel great, you're going to do that.
Right,
especially
like David Bell can't see if you're sick.
Right.
He can't see.
But he can. That's the whole thing. He was puking on the mound.
This didn't even get talked about last time he did this because he had a great outing.
Right.
Right.
It happened.
If he says he's fine, you have to take his word for it.
Yeah. And especially coming off 6 1/3 shutout innings against the Pirates.
When he
5
threw up
days
in the
ago.
first inning.
So I think if he's going to tell you he's okay and you want to go out and win a ball game, I think you got to take his word for it.
Right. It's not like this is some new thing. Like it's not like and I promise you that if it happens again, they probably will be more precautious. They'll probably be more because now we have seen.
I'd hope they are more precautious when guys are puking on the mound. I know Hunter Greene had the water puking thing, and that's fine. But I don't know. I don't know what the percentages of pukes that are just water opposed to actually being sick. And there's unfortunately for me no information on that. But if I'm David Bell last night in the third inning when he's at 70 pitches, let's just get through the puke thing. Well, puke thing didn't happen. That's fine. Third inning when he's at 70 pitches and the bases are loaded, nobody out. Why is he still in the game? Because then you're still leaving him in. He threw 95 pitches last night, finished 4 innings. He had no business finishing those 4 innings. If we pretend that whole sick thing didn't happen in the first, it was evident he still didn't have it last night. And the Reds still threw him up to the Wolves. And that's where I disagree.
I'm never eager to pull a starting pitcher because he doesn't have great stuff in the third inning. I think you need to let him go, let him pitch 90 pitches if he feels good enough to pitch, or he's telling you he feels good enough to pitch.
I think
you let him get through 4 and save the bullpen.
He gave up 6 earned runs.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't have his best stuff, but you don't just pull your best starting pitcher.
You don't pull your best pitcher
just
after he
because
gives up
he's
6
3
earned.
innings.
You don't pull your best starting pitcher after he gives up 6 earned runs.
I have no problem with leaving him in for the 4th.
it's also
You're killing your entire bullpen before you
Yeah.
go to St. Louis for 4 games.
right, exactly. And it's also when you're down 6-0 in the third, the odds of you winning that game aren't great.
I mean, he got through 4 innings, and we still needed 3 out of Zulueta before we sent him back down to keep high-leverage relievers ready to go for a close game. If he comes out after the third, you're using guys, like we said yesterday with Fernando Cruz, you're using guys that you need for winnable games in a blowout. Right. I don't know. I really have no problem with the way they managed the pitching yesterday.
Yeah, my opinion on it is, like, when it comes to this, like, all you can do is ask, like, hey, you good to go? Like, what's going on out there? Especially what happened his last start is you just go, hey, are you good to go or not? And if he says yes, you got to rock with him. I will say, we keep doing this thing where we talk about David Bell and decisions he makes and, the play of the team. And we can continue to say that, hey, managers don't matter and anything like that. We come in here and we talk about David Bell almost every day because of something that happened in the game previously. At some point, that thing stacks up. Like if someone keeps telling you that you have a problem, whatever it is, right? You're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. And, it's coming from your family. It's coming from your friends. It's coming from your wife. It's coming from your spouse. It's coming from your workers, your bosses, your employees. At some point, you got to look in the mirror and go like, all right, well, maybe there is a problem here. And if every single day for different reasons we're talking about David Bell, maybe there's a problem there.
I think for a lot of the time we're talking about David Bell, it's because of the overreaction. I really don't look into David Bell's decisions that much. I really don't. I try not to. But Reed is correct. At some point, if the storyline continues, and don't get me wrong, he is not long for being the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. He is going to get canned eventually when this season ends. And if not this season, maybe the season after that. My whole thing with David Bell is that there are 20 mediocre managers. There's probably about 5 really good ones and 5 really bad ones. Yeah. He's one of the 20 mediocre ones.
Yeah. Okay. So
and he's not going to make it's not going to make a massive difference either way. But saying what Reed just said, if you're going to continue to be a storyline like he's been this year, and we're going to talk about the CES stuff too, and how David Bell keeps talking to the media, he's going to be fine. Yeah, we're working through it. Yada yada yada. And then a couple days later, boom, 3-month surgery done. We can talk about all of that, and we're going to. And if David Bell keeps putting him in the line of fire here, I lose my stance. I lose the stance that managers don't matter, because evidently you're making a difference, David, and I don't know if it's for the better.
Yeah, like I said, like if we're even taking what you just said at face value, to where there's 20 mediocre managers and David Bell falls in that camp, and there's 5 bad ones and 5 good ones, what's the percentage you get a bad one? Why not just make the change and see if something happens?
You land in the middle again. You're in the same spot.
Right, yeah. I mean, you got a 66% chance of finishing the exact same way that you did. But the point that I just keep saying is every single day there's something new that we're talking about with the manager of this team, that at some point we've got to look to say, all right, maybe there is something going on here.
And that's 100% fair. I just think, especially last night, and Craig put it in the chat, I did mention it during the headlines, Hunter Greene made one of the most egregious defensive miscues I've ever seen, cutting off that baseball. He shouldn't have been anywhere near there. He cut it off, a run scores, fat Rowdy. You ever see Rowdy Tellez? He's stealing second base. Rowdy Tellez, you're letting him steal second base? What are we doing? And that's all to my point, that Hunter Greene last night didn't have it at all. Didn't have it at all, and David Bell has to know what's going on out there. He has to use his eyes for that. I firmly believe a lot of his decisions, 95% of them, are analytically driven. I think that's how the league works. But there is a human element, just like there is with being an umpire. There is a human element. And David Bell was unaware to the human element last night, in my opinion. Hunter Greene has had the puke issue before. It was hydration. But my God, it was evident last night Hunter Greene did not have it whatsoever. That is your ace. Keep him healthy. You say you want to keep the bullpen ready to go, but Hunter Greene is vastly more important.
I'm not pulling any starter just because they have 3 bad innings.
3 bad innings and visibly look sick.
See, again, you keep saying that. If he told the staff he's fine,
Right.
he's fine.
Like, do you think
You
he threw
keep
up
saying
again?
that. It's not true.
I wouldn't have said anything if he didn't say in the post-game press conference it wasn't hydration.
Post-game is post-game. If he's saying during the game and before the game that he feels fine, you don't have the post-game press conference in the 3rd inning.
Do you think he threw up again in the dugout?
I don't know. I can't speculate on speculation. If I had to take a guess, in the dugout, he didn't look okay. Because he didn't look okay on the mound.
No, he didn't.
At all.
I mean, yeah, they attacked him yesterday. They got to him, but I still think you got to let him go. He's your ace. And if his stomach hurt and he got it up and threw up in the 1st inning and then feels fine, like just let him go.
Yeah, let's just take about this whole thing. Like, has Hunter Greene earned the right to tell David Bell, I'm good to pitch? Because I think he has, especially based off of how he pitched the last time. Has he earned the right to go like, hey, I know something weird just happened out on the mound where I just puked, but I'm good to go? Hunter Greene's earned that right by being the ace of this staff over the last 2 years. He's been a dominant force at the start of this rotation. I know the numbers aren't quite there because there are games like this here and there, but when he's on his A game, he's on his A game. And sometimes does a manager need to protect a player? Certainly. But at the end of the day, if you look at a guy and you look him in the eye and say, how you feeling? Are you okay? You good to go back out there? And he says, yes, I'm good to go. Then you go back out there. And you got to remember that these are competitors. That maybe to David Bell's effort, they're always going to say that. And maybe he needs to be a little more nuanced. That's one of the hardest things to learn when you get in higher level athletics, is to say, hey, if I'm not at 100%, I might be hurting the team. But Hunter Greene has earned the right to stay in if he says he's good to go.
Everyone loves when David Bell comes out there and he's at 105 pitches or whatever, and Hunter Greene waves him off and says, "No, I'm fine. I'm good to go. I'll finish the inning." Everyone loves that, but you throw up on the mound in the first inning, you tell him, "No, I'm good to go. I'll fight for the team." Everyone hates it now. I don't know. I think it's the same exact thing.
I think again.
He also threw a clean fourth inning when he came out after the third.
He did throw a clean fourth, and I can't argue against that. But the issue is, again, and this is my last point on it, and I've made the point, so I'm going to keep it moving here. But yeah, if my pitcher's out there and he looks visibly sick and he's making bad cutoffs and he doesn't look great, that's a time to pull him. He is the number one investment that the Reds have right now. So protect him. That would be my goal. As Jimmy said, the game was a blowout. Let's protect my guy and not get him beat up in the fourth inning. He didn't get beat up in the fourth, but he got beat up last night. He didn't look good. And if I was David Bell, I would have done something. But I'm not David Bell. I'm not a manager. I'm just a lowly talk show host. Moving on from Hunter Greene. One guy on the Reds that, again, not David Bell's fault that he's playing this poorly, Will Benson. Will Benson can no longer be a Cincinnati Red as of right now. He can maybe come back in a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. He needs some sort of work down in AAA. You cannot continue to run out Will Benson. It's a lost cause. I know Jacob does the funny bit where we bet over 4.5 pitches for Will Benson at bats.
He fouls too often, strikes out.
He strikes out every at bat. Every single at bat. He does not make contact anymore. Very rarely will Will Benson make solid contact with a pitch. Will Benson he's hitting 188 on the season. He's hitting 188 on the season. Average doesn't matter. If you're hitting below 200, you're not having a good year. He's hitting 188 on the season. He's 1 for his last 31. During that 1 for 31 stretch, he has 17 strikeouts. 17 strikeouts. It's organizational malpractice to run out a guy who can't play baseball. And he, unfortunately, right now, cannot play baseball. I was first on the list this season with Will Benson. I was first on the list saying Will Benson is going to be an everyday player. I really believed that. I thought he was good enough. I thought he was going to be a decent replacement out in center for for TJ Friedel. I thought he was going to be ready to go. He was not. This season, it's been off pretty much from the get-go. He's had a couple good games. Outside of that, he's been woeful. His at-bats have taken a major step backwards. He doesn't make good contact, and he strikes out, I'm not kidding, 45% of his at-bats. 45% of his at-bats are strikeouts. And with the ever-changing landscape in Major League Baseball, maybe strikeouts don't matter as much as they did back then. But if you're not putting the bat on the ball 45% of the time, I don't know how we can continue to run this guy out there.
I think the natural question now with Friedel on the IL and, Noelvi coming back, I guess, later this week, but still no CES, you need Candelario and Steer to mix in at first base. Who else are you playing in the outfield against right-handed pitchers?
You're gonna have to bring up somebody, and it's probably going to be Livan Soto. That's who it's probably going to be. Because if I'm going to be honest, does it get better or worse if Will Benson's not out there?
Everyone we've called up has been about the same.
Maybe. But at least Will Benson, we've sent him down before and it's worked.
That's true.
We've sent Will Benson down during a stretch exactly like this when he couldn't touch baseball if it was one of those water balls and he was using a big foam bat. He can't touch a baseball right now. It worked last season. Send him right back down right now because it's evident. It's apparent. Will Benson cannot be on this team right now. Can't be.
So here's the thing, because I am a big Will Benson, or at least I was coming into the year, a big Will Benson supporter because I like the approach he has at the plate. He takes long at-bats. He waits for his pitch. The problem is right now is he's simply, and it's maybe the biggest problem a ball player can have, is that when he's getting his pitch, when it's in the zone and it's straight, he's swinging right through it. And it doesn't even look like he's late. It doesn't look like he's early. He's just missing the ball. And that is the worst thing that can happen when you're at the plate because sometimes you sit up there and you show up to the ballpark. It doesn't matter what they throw your way. You know you're going to go 2 for 3. You know you're just going to put one in the gap. Then there's sometimes it doesn't matter what they throw you. You know you can't hit the ball. It's the latter right now for Will Benson. When he does square up a ball, he finds the barrel percentage sometimes at an elite clip. The problem is he's just missing. Like when he puts the bat on the ball, he hits it hard. But you can't have a guy that is patient at the plate, and when he's getting his pitches, he's missing. Because now pitchers are not afraid whatsoever to attack that hitter. They go right after him. Because they know I have nothing to fear. If he can't hit a 95, 94 mile an hour fastball at the heart of the plate, why am I nibbling around? We'll go right after the guy, and that's where Will Benson is at right now. It's the old cliches, he's got a hole in his bat. He clearly does. You watch his at-bats, he's missing pitches in the middle of the zone that aren't overpowering, that aren't spinning, just straight 94, 93 mile an hour fastballs, and he's missing. And I think he can find it. I think he can find it. Typically, batters that have patient at the plate are better hitters. But man, oh man, it's bad right now.
You can't willingly defend, and the only issue is Jake Fraley, unfortunately, and I like Jake Fraley. Jake Fraley can't put the ball in the outfield. So it's right now you're just struggling. Hopefully Will Benson connects with one of those baseballs, and it goes a hell of a long way. If he hits 2 home runs in a week, it's like, all right, we kind of got our money's worth with Will Benson this week. That hasn't happened in a while. It hasn't. And I'm trying to be patient and calm and, a rational fan, yada, yada, yada. Can't play him anymore. The Will Benson experiment right now has got to be put on pause. Send him back down. Work on something. It's not a punishment. It really isn't. I know it sounds like a punishment to other people, and I get it. To Will Benson, I'm sure it would be a punishment. But if it's not working, you have to try something. Doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. It is insane to let Will Benson continue to swing a bat at the major league level, given this current run. 17 strikeouts in his last 31 at-bats. Brutal. Moving on from him, and let's talk about some positives. I want to talk about one positive before I get right back into the negatives, and that has been Jonathan India. Jonathan India, if there's ever a guy that's needed to step up this season, not just for the team's sake, but for his personal stock, it's been Jonathan India. He's been seemingly not the player he was in his rookie season for 2 years now. And this season, I'd argue, maybe he's playing the best baseball of his career right now at this very moment. The last 30 games have been incredible. He's not striking out. He's patient at the plate. A lot of the times he doesn't swing, and I get mad at him for that. But nonetheless, it's worked for him. He's on a 7-game hitting streak. He was 2 for 2 last night with 2 walks, 3 runs. He was the entire offense last night. Jonathan India has taken a massive step up defensively, as we talked about yesterday. Offensively, he's a different player. This is the guy we wanted. This is the rookie of the year. When I went on my rant last year saying how I was mad at the whole fan base for trying to take it out on Jonathan India, this is the guy I was defending. I'm very happy with Jonathan India. I'm very happy he's a Cincinnati Red right now.
Are we closing in on that point? The value's getting...
Value's as high as it's been. If he continues this to the All-Star game, I don't know. Because the Reds are unfortunately at a point where you need Jonathan India too. At this very second, without Matt McClain.
Or we just go full white towel.
If we go full white towel, this fan base is going to explode.
Wow.
Going to explode. And I might be one of the people that explode too. And I don't want to. But Jonathan India, if we had a healthy Matt McClain right now and India was playing this way, then yeah, India would be gone.
I guess the question is, what are you playing for? You think the team we watch
the good
3
news,
times a week can make the playoffs?
The good news is they can, unfortunately. And there's 8 teams between the 37 win mark. There's 10 teams, sorry, in the National League between the 37 win mark and the 43 win mark.
I don't think a playoff team is getting in with 81, 82, 83 wins.
Diamondbacks did it last season, went to a World Series.
How many wins they have?
80. They had 83 last year.
Okay, so that's the floor. Reds win total right now is set at 77.5. It's a 6-game difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 teams above 500 in baseball right now. 6, sorry. The Cardinals are above 500. There's 6 teams above 500, and then there's a hell of a lot of teams right below that, outside of the Marlins and the Rockies. Shout out to them. Thanks for coming.
I want to give...
But the season mathematically, and I hate to use that word, mathematically, it's nowhere close to being over. But Jacob is sort of right. 100% he's sort of right.
If you can't talk yourself into this team winning 85 games, or getting close to 85 wins, then I don't think it's worth playing for a playoff spot.
The mistakes are egregious. I mean, the mistakes this team makes are egregious. We can sit here and say that
Right.
you're in contention, you're mathematically alive, which I am saying that. But if you watched the game last night, that doesn't look like a professional baseball team. That was a clown show.
Fraley lobbing that ball in a second was crazy.
Crazy. Hunter Greene, again, nobody talked. Rowdy Tellez stole a base with 2 outs, scored on an RBI single because Hunter Greene cut a ball off for no reason. They're making mistakes that no professional team makes. And maybe that's a result of David Bell. I don't know. If they're so fundamentally not sound, it's hard for me to sit here and be like, that's all on David Bell. He's got to teach these guys how to play the fundamentals of baseball. But maybe he does, and I don't know. Because, yeah, I'm pretty angry with David Bell after last night. And the mistakes, they've all accumulated. It's the worst defensive team I've seen maybe ever. None of them can play defense except for Ellie De La Cruz and Stuart Fairchild when he doesn't have to throw. But it's been a train wreck from the start, and we can say they're mathematically alive, say it until the cows come home, and they are. But can they compete? Can they compete in a playoff series? Can they compete for a World Series? And that answer is no. There's no way. You can't see this team hoisting up the World Series trophy. I can't. Maybe it's just the pessimist in me. I know I'm a pessimist. But my God, it's crazy that there's so many games like this last night where they don't look professional. Sorry, Reed, I interrupted.
Well, no, I was not going to interrupt your rant. I was just going to say this stat to illustrate how well Jonathan India has been playing, because I've been a big detractor of Jonathan India, so I'm going to give him his flowers when he deserves it. He's currently 10th in the National League in on-base percentage. He's tied there with famed slugger Kyle Schwarber. The names in front of him on-base percentage in the National League, you're talking 5 former MVPs: Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Christian Yelich. And then the other guys are fantastic ball players as well. We're talking Jesse Winker, Jerkerson Profar, Joey Ortiz. That's how good he's been this year, and Marcell Ozuna. That's how good Jonathan India has been this year. He's in that same list. He's in that same 374 is borderline elite getting on base. So in a city where there has been huge supporters and huge detractors, I've been the latter, where I've been a huge detractor of Jonathan India. I'm going to give him his flowers when he deserves it, and he absolutely deserved it. When the Reds needed him most, he has answered the bell, the David Bell.
The David Bell. All-star manager David Bell. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I think ever since you said Jonathan India was done, I think he's played great.
Keep bringing that one up. I like.
Do you remember when you said that?
I do remember.
So,
I like Bully Jimmy.
I like that was a good bit by Jim.
Jimmy Bulls.
So
if he does it a couple more times, it's gonna get good.
okay, yeah. So my question, Mark said, do you think that Jonathan India is part of the future? I know I have my stance on it, but what's yours?
Will Jonathan India be a part of the future? Listen, everybody knows I'm the biggest Jonathan India fan, but if the infield is fully healthy, he just doesn't have a spot. And that's unfortunately not based. If he hits like this the rest of this season,
play the outfield.
Maybe we can talk. Maybe he can play in the outfield.
If he hits like this, he can play the outfield.
God knows our outfield can't get any worse defensively, so we're not losing a ton there. It's just there's no spot in the infield. But we're basing all this on this infield staying healthy.
100%.
Yeah.
All of it. Everything we do is based on Matt McClain being able to play baseball. Is he going to come back in August? I have a 0% hope that Matt McClain's back in August. 0%.
I don't think he's going to play this year.
0%. Based on with how this whole PR situation has been with David Bell, them proclaiming injuries, guys are not injured, and I can't wait to get into that, because I think some of that's silly fan talk. But my God, CES getting drilled in the pitch, staying with the club for a month.
Took 15 at-bats.
15 at-bats. And now we're doing season-ending injury. What's the day, Jacob? It's June 26th.
He's having surgery 2 months after he got hit.
If all of this was true, and I don't know if it is. I don't know what to believe. I try to keep my mouth shut because I'm going to sound unintelligent when I talk about it. But if this was truly the biggest blunder of all time by the Reds medical staff, they got to clean. You
talked about Noel.
You got to clean house.
You talked about Noelvi's quote potentially being a bad look for the Reds if people spin it that way, whatever, which is a fair take. this is the worst look for a professional baseball team that I can remember in a long time.
Yeah.
You cleared a guy to play after his x-rays. He went and got a second opinion because he didn't trust the team doctors of the professional baseball team he plays for, and they find nerve damage in his wrist that's going to have him out for 3 months with a surgery.
Yeah.
You had him take at-bats. I mean, I really don't understand how this even happens. CES didn't want to do the surgery. Someone puts in the chat. He went and got a second opinion to make sure that he could be healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Reds could have set him back years by letting him play if he didn't go get a second opinion. I'm as mad about this as you were about the Noelvi thing.
And we're going to get into that real quick. So this is a series of tweets from Charlie Goldsmith over the course of the last month. David Bell said, this is all from Charlie. This is our guy, Charlie Goldsmith. David Bell said CES has been cleared to progress forward. CES requested a second opinion and will get one. All indications are, quote, he looks good. When he starts the ramp up, he'll begin with strength work, and then go to hitting. That was on June 6th. June 8th, David Bell says the plan for CES is to start his strength training, ramp up in 5 days, and then start swinging in the next few weeks. That was 2 days after the first one. June 17th, 9 days after the last one, David Bell said CES is going to the 60-day IL. Isn't a reflection of any change in the timeline. They're giving his wrist a few more days and seeing where it's at before making a decision on the next steps. June 25th, 9 days later, David Bell said CES is having surgery on his wrist. It's a 3-month recovery timeline. Who's in charge here? Who's letting David Bell speak? If you clearly don't know what's going on, do not speak on the matter. I don't know. I know it's hard for a manager to sit up there and say, I don't know what's going on, but it's better than giving people a whole bunch of false hope, right? This is nonsensical. And this is, again, I've defended David Bell, not because I like David Bell. I've defended David Bell because I don't think he makes as big of an impact on this team as the other million issues. But my God, David Bell's speaking to the media saying he's fine, he's going to progress, strength training, up in a couple weeks, he'll be good. No problem. 20 days later, he's done for the year? What's happened? I don't know who on the medical staff is in charge. I don't know who on the PR team's letting these people speak. But somebody's got to take a step forward here and say, you know what? We're not probably educated enough to speak on this matter. We don't know enough yet about CES. We're going to let the cards play as they were. We're going to try to get him healthy by the end of the year. Boom. End of statement. Call it. Do what you did with Matt McClain. Just lie to the fan base, say he's coming back. That's what you should have done here. Because this whole thing's a train wreck. And this is why people make fun of the Cincinnati Reds. They've lost for 25 straight seasons. They've been a disgrace. One of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. They have been. And now I have to sit here and worry about what our medical staff's doing to our players? I shouldn't have to worry about this. Do I think the medical staff is outwardly trying to injure our players? No, I don't. But do I think something weird's going on where we keep saying guys are okay and then they're just not okay? How is this allowed to continue? I don't get it. And I got fired up last night and I was going to start rattling off tweets, but I stopped myself. I'm mad about it. I'm furious about it. No CES for the rest of the season. Gone. Done. After 2 weeks ago, he said he was going to be fine. Wild. Wild to me. But we'll see. Maybe that's how all organizations are. Maybe every team's like this, lying to the fan base so outwardly and openly. Yeah, our guys are fine. They'll be ready to go. 2 days later, season-ending injury. See you later. David Bell, please stop talking to the media. Please. I know it's your job. You can't stop talking. But my God, if it's about an injury that you don't know anything about, let's not say that he's going to be ready in 2 weeks. Doesn't make sense. Sorry, rant. Any thoughts?
The thought I'll have is that you're asking David Bell to stop speaking to the media. So if he doesn't make the lineup decisions and he can't talk to the media, then I would ask what his job, what his role on the team is. But that's beside the point. I'm not doing this. I think RM does bring a good point up when she says, is this not the normal the normal route of, hey, can this person play? Before you do the season-ending surgery, you exhaust all other resources because that's the worst-case scenario. And I know that he was cleared to play. Jacob brought that into the phone. But this is is this not how you normally
The
go
Reds
about
training
business?
staff isn't who found the nerve damage, though. It was a separate second opinion that he went to after the Reds cleared him to play. If the Reds had done whatever, said, well, we see surgery could be on the table, we'll see whatever, and then we'll try that, that's a different story. But he went to someone outside the organization for a second opinion who found the nerve damage.
So I get where the frustrations are when a full season of injuries happens like the Reds have had this year, and I've seen this with other fan bases. I've certainly done it with the Cubs. I've done it with the Bengals. Is when you start asking what's going on with the training staff. I remember we did that with the Bengals last year when Joe Burrow's like getting banged up, and we're like, hey, should he play? Should he not? What's going on with the training staff? I think that's such a hypothetical thing that you can't ever quantify.
It's true.
You just simply cannot quantify how good a training staff is or how bad they are. It's just something that you have to kind of. But there are decent concerns that are coming through when routine things that a training staff looks at aren't coming up clear. You're not getting clear answers when they're going to second opinions and they're telling you something completely different than what the team's doctors are doing. Then that does become a problem. I don't know. It just seems weird. I think that fans maybe be getting a little over their skis when they start talking about the training staff, but there are certainly questions of concern to have.
This isn't the first time it's happened, though. It's happened a lot. It's happened more times than I can count. TJ Friedel, they said he was fine. Was he fine, though? Hit on the wrist. Have to get a second opinion there, too. It's just, I feel like this has been an ongoing theme. I don't blame David Bell for the injuries. I don't blame David Bell for the team losing this season. But at some point, like Reed said earlier on, all roads lead back to home. And home base is clearly David Bell right now. And if the Reds somehow survive this season, maybe sneak into the playoffs, I don't know, by some miracle, maybe we'll all look back and say David Bell did a great job this year. Maybe. But if they start losing games on a good scale here, they lose 5 of 7, 10 of 15, 15 of 25, and they just start going down the tank, I don't know. It almost seems like they need a reset. And it's not a reset in terms of the core. A reset in terms of what's going on in the clubhouse. I've been against this take from the beginning because you know my opinion. I've been against this take. But at some point, things have got to change. These injuries that I've been dealing with for 2 years now, Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo. We haven't mentioned Nick Lodolo, gone for a blister. They let him pitch on the blister.
They pulled him. He only pitched 4 innings.
Again, but if he has the blister and he's hurt, why is Nick Lodolo pitching? If he's going to go on the IL,
I assume he didn't have the blister before the game started.
That's not what I'm coming to grips with. I think he had the blister before the game started.
Then it wasn't bothering him enough. I mean, you just want to pull everyone when they are a little banged up. It's a 162-game season. Guys have to play through injuries.
Nick Lodolo is on the IL because of a blister.
Right, which was aggravated during the game.
I don't want to pull anybody. But if they're getting beat up and if it's clear that they're not healthy, then don't play them.
He pitched 70 pitches in that game and they pulled him. Obviously, when it started to bother him, they took him out.
But I'm saying that if he had the issue before the game, they shouldn't have allowed it to happen.
If it wasn't a big enough issue to have him miss the start, which obviously it wasn't, then you let him pitch until it bothers him and you pull him out, which is exactly what they did.
I hope that's the case.
This circles back to the thing that we were talking about earlier is when it comes to professional athletes and minor injuries like a blister, like being a little sick like Hunter Greene was yesterday, you default to the athlete themselves and say, hey, are you good enough to pitch? And then if the problem arises and for whatever reason Nick Lodolo thought he was good enough to pitch, then you let him throw and then he comes back and says, all right, I need some time off to let this heal. That's all that is. I think you bring up a really interesting point or a very true point, Elliot, when you said earlier it's just a multitude of things and it seems like everything's going wrong. This is what happens. You've heard the old saying, like winning cures all.
Yeah.
Losing does the complete opposite. it puts a magnifying glass on, it puts you under a microscope on every single issue that the team has, because you're trying to diagnose what's wrong. And when this thing's wrong and this thing's wrong and this thing's wrong, you just put a microscope under everything, and you start thinking, oh man, we've got a bad training staff, we got a bad manager, we got bad players, we got a bad free. All these things just get just grow when things start going wrong, when you start losing games. Like these small issues to where Hunter Greene's puking and has a bad outing. If the Reds are 8 games over 500, we're not talking about it. Right. We're like, hey, maybe he shouldn't have thrown yesterday. I hope Hunter Greene feels better. But instead, today we're talking about, man, does David Bell have a grip on his team? Does David Bell have what's David Bell doing? Is he hurting this team? This team looks lackadaisical out over there. What's going on? Winning cures all. Losing does the complete opposite. And that's all I'll say. Like, all these things, we're talking about training staff, we're talking about players, all these things are just symptoms of frustration coming from, why is this team losing? And at the end of the day, it can flip on its head the second that the Reds win 5 games, as it's already done this season, as it's already done last year. And I'm using we for the Reds, as you guys made fun of me yesterday. Before they go on that winning streak in June last year, Nick Kral's an idiot. This ownership group's an idiot. This team's no good. David Bell's not very good. Oh, we're going to do prospects. A month and a half into that, man, we've got it all figured out. This is a gravy train, baby. Let's keep it rolling. This year, injuries, some weird happenstance on the field, and we're doing the complete opposite. It's just a part of it all. It's just a part of it all. Winning cures all, and losing does the complete opposite.
Yeah, I don't know. And here's the thing: they're talking about it in the chat, and Mousecop says we are constantly sitting here saying something needs to change with the Reds. Why is it the Reds and not the fans? Because the fans aren't the ones responsible for the team. I can sit up here and say, oh, let's just be okay with losing every single season. Justin put it in the chat. The Reds have been bad for 25 seasons. I'm not going to sit up here and clap when they lose. Am I supposed to sit here and be okay? We're all supposed to be just okay? Red season, another subpar finish. Didn't make the playoffs again. They've made the playoffs 6 times in 25 seasons. They haven't advanced once. Something's, and this is where I get mad at the ownership group, and I probably won't do that rant today. If the Reds win 65 games, I'll do the rant then. Castellini's, when they wrote their cute little letter and said, we're bringing championship baseball back to Cincinnati, and then brought more losing than we've ever seen, it's tough for me to sit here and say, you know what, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm going to take a break from talking about the Reds for a second to do ads.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry.
Hey, thank you everyone that's in here in the chat today. I know it's not fun when we do these shows when things go wrong, but you do get spirited debate, you get spirited discourse. So thank you so much for being in here today. We've got about 101 concurrent viewers. If you can give us a like, we would greatly appreciate that. We truly love every single one of you. Sorry, Justin, that I'm not humble. Like I said earlier, if I didn't love myself, no one else would. So that's where I'm coming from. If you give me 1 second, I've got the ads coming up here. And a second, in our first ad, as always, is Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data centers, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and, Jimbo,
Productivity.
Productivity is correct. Visit encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. And the question remains, are you still drinking regular water? Like water that comes out of the tap? Water that you just get at your local convenience store? Well, there's a new alkaline water out, and it is Pawnee Water. And they're not all that new because they've been our sponsor for well over a year. So thank you to Pawnee Water. And if you didn't know, alkaline water has superior hydration benefits as opposed to regular water, and we've seen that in clinical studies. They use natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many other waters use. Find out where you can get Pawnee Water at pawneewater.com. That's PAHHNI water.com. Thank you to Pawnee Water. We appreciate it. If you didn't know, there's only one thing that goes in this bottle, and that is water. And if you give me one more second, I'm going to tell you about the best ticketing app on the interweb, and that's where you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and you can do that with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create an account, redeem code OTB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed, and they do have a guarantee on the lowest price. You can push that. You get to see exactly where you sit in the stadium. You get to see all-in pricing. They do have fees, but they show you exactly what you're going to pay. And that's what's great about Game Time. They played today. The Reds play today at 1:10. Hopefully they do. There is rain in the forecast. If they are live, we will be live with the members. We'll be doing a watch-along as we do for most day games. We have some ducks to get in a row before the big announcement. And we're gonna tease something real quick. You see this seat right here? It's going to be filled. It's going to be filled very, very soon.
Oh.
We heard the
Complaints.
We heard the complaints. We heard the feedback of the current iteration of the show. We love bringing this show to you guys, and we're going to keep trying to find ways to do it better, do it bigger, and give you something that you guys, that we're, first of all, we love bringing you guys content, but we want to do something that we are very, very proud of, and we think this is the best course forward. I think the boss man's going to come in here later this week to talk about what that's going to be, but we're going to continue to grow as a company. We're going to continue to give you guys the best content that we possibly can. Thank you so much. Give us likes, subscribe, all the good things. And hopefully Casey feels better. Give a prayer up for Casey. Like those silly tweets that come out of his Twitter account, because Casey's just going through it right now. Casey's going through it. All right, back to you guys.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm happy now. I'm calm. I'm relaxed.
It's not fun
No,
to talk about the Reds that way for
I don't like to do
hours a day.
I don't like to do it. And
Yesterday was so much fun.
do you remember yesterday?
So much fun. It feels like a month ago. We were talking about playoffs. And then 12:05, Nick Lodolo IL. My whole day is ruined.
I will say, I think a take that I push back against that Jacob had is that he said, I think the exact quote, and I don't want to steal it from you, or I don't want to paraphrase, as you said, if this team can't win 85 games, I'd rather just sell. And I don't think that's the proper way of going about this. I do think that there is a better conversation to be had at a player playing as maybe the best baseball of his career in Jonathan India and what you can do to get value out of that.
Yeah.
But I do think that if there is an opportunity to make the postseason in a town that has made the postseason, 3 times in the last 24
No,
years?
I totally, but that's what I was saying.
Then they should push for that. And I do think that third wild card spot's not going to be 85 wins. I think it's going to be closer to 500 because that's what we've seen last year. And it is very much trending in that direction. And as we've seen, the last 2 pennant winners have been that third wild card spot.
The worst record to ever make the playoffs is Diamondbacks last year, right? 2 games above 500? Because no team below 500's ever made it.
Yeah, so
that's with
there's
the
2
new playoff
teams.
format
There's
too,
2. No, not the worst team. It's 2 game or 82 and 80. The 2004 St. Louis Cardinals.
2 games above 500.
They won the pennant as well. So the 2 lowest teams that have made the postseason from the National League have won the pennant.
But that's what I'm saying. If you can't, 85 wins was just the line I'm saying to compete for that third wildcard spot. If it's lower, sure, that's fine. 83 wins, 82 wins, I'm not there. Talking myself into the Reds getting close to that number. So I don't know. I think maximizing some of the talent on this team that doesn't really have a place in the ideal lineup is a decent way to go.
Yeah, Jacob,
That's the only thing. That's the only point I'm
when
trying to
Jacob's saying sell, it's not the core. You're not giving
I'm not trading Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Ellie De La Cruz, Noel V. McClain. It's Frankie Montas. It's maybe if Graham Ashcraft comes up and has some good outings, more pitchers get hurt. You can move a guy like him. You could trade Fernando Cruz, who leads relievers in strikeouts. He's 34.
Yeah.
You know, it's guys like that I would maybe look at trading. India, just because, like we said earlier, if the infield's healthy, where does he play? And if you get to next year when he's still on the team and Matt McClain's ready to go and he's sitting on the bench, that trade value just declines every single game. So I don't know. I think part of it's just like throwing in the towel on this year is not what I'm saying. But if you don't think that you can win, you're not going to compete for the division. But if you don't think you can make the wild card spot, maximizing some of the talent that's not crucial to this team right now, or in the future might not be a bad way to go.
And I don't know how you firmly, if you watched the Reds this season, I don't know how you sit there and look at them and say, you know what, they can make the playoffs.
Right.
They can. Let me change the wording because mathematically they can. They can compete in the postseason. That's a postseason team. They look like it. They look abysmal, and I'm very sorry, but the fundamentals are so bad. The base running mistakes are. Jonathan India tried to score from third on a ground ball to the pitcher yesterday. A ground ball to the pitcher. I love Jonathan India. He's been very, very good. What are we doing? Don't do that. Stop. It's a ground ball to the pitcher. You're at third. So, yeah, we can sit here and pretend that mathematically we're live, and I agree with Reed. Reed knows I agreed with him. I'm on the anti-sell wagon 99.9% of the time. I think selling is nonsensical, especially for a team that, again, has seen no happiness over the past 30 seasons. But this season, I can't look at them and say, you know what? These guys are good enough. These guys look great. They look like they have 37 wins. We're 6 games under, but they look like they're 5 games over. These aren't bad luck losses. They're playing themselves out of games.
Have you seen the Pythagorean record stat?
Yeah, I have.
Reds projected record with the run differential is like 4 games above 500. Hang your hat on that.
Hang the banner. Hang the banner for the Pythagorean record. But yeah, it's over. There was a discussion in the chat though, and I was going to bring this up. Which ownership group has taken either the more heat and which is obviously more deserving of it? Do you think the Brown family had took more heat than the Castellinis did? Because I think I want to say 2010 to 2015, Brown was taking way more heat than Castellini.
Well, the Reds were better.
Correct. The Reds were. I mean, the Bengals were still making the postseason during that stretch, though.
Yeah.
I
think Castellinis have always gotten more heat.
I think Mike Brown.
The Bengals have in our lifetime pretty much always been better than the Reds. Even when the Reds would win 97. I think
I was just saying the Reds are better than they are now, not.
Right.
Better than the Bengals.
I think the only year in which the Reds might have been better than the Bengals when like a more serious contender is 2012 when they won 97 games. And even that year, I think the Bengals won 12. So it's like they're pretty even. They both got bounced in the first round. So what are we talking about? But if you're asking who gets more flack between the ownership groups, until the Bengals won the Super Bowl, it was without a doubt, the Brown family. And that, honestly, them making the Super Bowl, them getting Joe Burrow has put, once again, under a microscope, the Castellini group. That's exactly what has happened here. That's why it's flipped. It's because fans need a fan. Fans need to be angry at something. We can't be angry at both things at the exact same time.
But the Castellinis still got hate for the entirety of this run. It's just this town likes football more than baseball, so the football was louder.
We're not doing that one today.
Well, I didn't mean to. But Bengals fans are just louder. That's all I'm saying. I think Reds fans have always hated the Castellinis. Since they came in 2008 and said they were going to win, since that 2012 loss, basically, the Castellinis have gotten killed.
I've been a Reds fan obviously my entire life, and I truly believe this. The Castellinis have skated by, and I'm telling you right now, it was right around 2017, 2018, and obviously in 2021 it was game over. But in 2017, 2018, when it was like the second rebuild in 10 years, for 7 years, whatever it was that was the start of the change. I really do think most of the fan base was fine with the Castellinis. They didn't really speak to the media. They were jolly old people. They made the playoffs once. They're doing good with the Reds community fund, yada, yada, yada. They do the Reds caravan. I think they've skated by for a while now. They've gotten more heat over the past, 5 years than they've ever gotten as owners. And rightfully so. They've, been terrible.
And the attention, like Reed said, has turned away from the Bengals.
Yeah,
the reason they've gotten more heat, which it's actually a sign of caution for ownership in baseball, is because back like in 2018, 2019, they went for it.
Yeah.
They went for it. They made that big trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they kind of piecemealed a team together that I think maybe even overachieved a bit to where they were competitive. They were competing for postseason spots. In fact, in 2020, they did make the postseason on a much expanded playoffs. But it's just the fact that it's kind of a changing door, right? After you go in, it didn't work. You got to restructure the whole thing once again, and that's why they've gotten flack. And once, like I said, it's because the Bengals have seemingly finally got it at least a little more figured out than it looked like. Like all the things that we used to complain about with the Cincinnati Bengals, because we really honestly never could complain about the product that was put on the field, other than them not getting to winning postseason games because they consistently competed. We could complain about, hey, the stadium sucks. Hey, the players don't even have an indoor facility. All these things that look cheap. Hey, you don't sign their players. Those things have gone by the wayside. So that's why we don't complain about the ownership group from the Bengals. And like I said, winning cures all. Winning cures all. If the Reds win 96 games and make it to the NLCS, listen, we're not talking about the Castellinis ever. Ever. We're talking about other things. It's just when you start losing, you go back to these symptoms of what is the problem of these losses. And it seems like everything. It seems like everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, as the Reds continue to struggle here, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as the Castellini stock continues to plummet. And this season is going to be no different.
I didn't think it could get any lower than the Where You Gonna Go stock. We're getting close to bottoming out below that.
And this is where it's like there has to be urgency. There has to be. And I know last year was kind of a fluke season. You were supposed to win 65. You win 82. So you're already ahead of schedule with the plan. And the plan they put in place, and this is where I'll give them a little bit of credit. They put all of their stock in Nick Krall and let Nick Krall make the decisions. And Nick Krall has done a good job at finding this core, has done a good job at starting a championship-level baseball team the way other teams do it. And that's with the prospect game, and that's being patient. And I know it's hard to ask Reds fans to be patient as they have continued to struggle for I don't know how many years now. I've said the number. But they've done a good job in stepping back. They're not involved with the decisions anymore. It's Nick Krall's show. And if we lose it, then I'll blame Nick Krall too. But
the letter's coming back.
The what?
I see the Castellini letter on Twitter all the time now. That we promised to bring winning baseball to Cincinnati. When the letter starts coming back out, you know it's dark times in Cincinnati.
It's hard to look at that letter.
It's one of the most brutal reads of all time.
It's hard to look at the letter.
Well, I'll give the Castellinis a hard group because, or at least I'll give them some slack here because they are playing against a stacked deck, and we all know that here in Cincinnati, right? Like bringing winning baseball back to a small market's not an easy feat to accomplish.
Being the worst team in Major League Baseball though during their tenure is there's certain,
I'm not giving them an absolute pass. I'm just giving them some credit.
There's certain bars you can climb. The Reds are what, middle of the pack in spending this season? They have the ability to spend. They've had it. I'm just asking you not to be dead last in Major League Baseball. I don't ask for a lot, I don't think. Get me to the playoffs once every couple of years, maybe.
I would take one playoff series win every decade.
One playoff series win, one time. They've done objectively a horrific job. If you had to rank ownership groups or owners in all of major sports, Castellinis are bottom 10. They've done nothing. They've accomplished nothing. They sit there and they lose. So, yeah, eventually I have to blame them. Eventually that blame squares all on them.
Only two managers in Reds history have lasted 5 or more years with a losing record. That's Brian Price and David Bell, the last two managers of the Reds, both under control of an ownership group who promised to win.
Yikes. The David Bell stuff will be funny as the season goes on because he's not getting fired. Not this year at least.
No, he's not getting fired.
So we're gonna have to
maybe in the off season.
Maybe what?
I'm not.
That's been what I've saying the whole time.
I'm not calling it. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that happens this off season.
Oh, yeah. I've been saying fire him in the off season.
I think firing him in the off season seems like the plan to do it. Just get rid of him. They're gonna look like an even bigger joke after you just extended them last year after winning 12 in a row. But you got to do what you got to do. Eventually, there's just a change. There's a change that needs to happen. Again, I'm not a blame David Bell guy, but saying that, if you're gonna, Reed said it. It was the best point that everybody's made in the show. If we have to keep talking about it and it's an ongoing story, eventually it's not just luck, right? It's at some point it's like, all right, maybe we look at the manager. maybe look at the manager for a little bit of change here.
If David Bell does get fired this season or this offseason, I've got a job for him.
Yeah. How great would that be? 10 to 12 every single day. 10A to 12P in the heart of Hamilton, Ohio. Elliot, Reed, Jimmy, and David Bell.
You guys thought it was bad when it was just us. Imagine when David Bell sits there and for the first 2 hours of his show, he's talking. Hey, I'm David Bell. And what we're gonna do today is, I think we're looking good. I think we're okay. We're just trying our best.
I think he adds the most to the show if he's still the manager of the Reds. Though.
That would be great too.
Can you imagine David Bell
Every day's gonna be okay.
talking
We're all
about
right.
Casey
The Reds
being
are great.
sick?
Oh yeah.
I basically pulled a David Bell by telling
did.
Casey to come in today, which I didn't mean to do. I'm once again very, very, very sorry about that.
Reed's tore up about that one.
I'm a mean person, and I try not to be. And then when I recognize that I'm being mean, it breaks me inside. And I've been mean to Casey, so I apologize.
What Casey
for
needs
that.
to do, if you think Reed's been mean, just send him a couple golden retriever TikToks.
Does work.
And it works every time. But that's it for the Reds. Unless anybody else has any final points, the Reds are back at it at 110. We will be doing a watch-along if they play, as Reed said earlier in the show. So for our members, our beloved members, thank you very much, including you, Justin. I love you, Justin. Don't you forget it, and especially Brian B. But outside of that, we will have a show, or we will be live streaming that at 110.
If they play, the only thing I'll say, and I don't want to break it into a full segment, is that if Jonathan India is playing the best ball of his career in a league where 13 of the 15 teams think they can make the postseason, there might not be a whole lot on that market. Might not be a whole lot of houses to buy. Might not be a terrible time to sell a house that you don't even have a clear plan for in the future.
You got a house.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
That's fun. All right.
But as Nick Kirby put in yesterday, these MLB teams probably are a bit smarter than we are, so they recognize all these things.
I'm all right. Trade deadline's way more fun if I think you can just move everyone for the best prospect on the other team.
I also think if you've been the worst team in Major League Baseball over the past 25 years, you don't get to say you're smarter than me. If you're second worst, you can say it. But if you're the worst,
You're good, Jimmy.
I literally can't be any worse than you. I literally can't be worse than you. So no, I don't give the Reds any pass there. Moving on here. Any other sports topics that I forgot about when we were talking about it? My brain's gone. Mikal Bridges. That's what I was going to say.
Knicks.
Knicks. What was the trade there?
6 picks, I believe, and Bojan Bogdanovic.
There's no way he's worth that, right?
Mikal Bridges is a role player. He's a great 3-and-D player. One of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player. He's a role player. And they traded 6 picks for him because he's friends with their other role players. I don't know if that's the best way to build a team, but that power of friendship meme is going to be in full swing come basketball season.
It's the New York Villanovas.
Well, they are fully buying into the power of Villanova. They said, "Hey, Nova won some ships."
That 2018 team was pretty good.
Right. Let's just bring it all together. Let's just do it all right now. They're like, we just did something in the postseason that made no sense off of the power of Jay Wright and Villanova. Let's get Jay Wright over here too.
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Jay Wright said 3 years ago the only NBA team he considered coaching is the Knicks.
Oh my! I didn't even think about that. Jay Wright comes out of his broadcast career and says, "You know what? We're going home."
We better not give Tibbs more than like 80 games.
Yeah.
He's going to kill all these players.
Yeah, I think that would require an injury on the Knicks because Tibbs ran someone into a brick wall. But
their depth is crazy now with this trade, though. You know, Deuce McBride off the bench,
yeah.
Mitch Robinson off the bench, DiVincenzo maybe off the bench.
Here's my thing, though, with this move is I feel like that kind of tells you they're probably going to lose OG and Anunoby.
I don't know.
Didn't they already lose him?
No, he's a free agent, but
he declined his player option, I believe.
And he will.
Right.
He played a great year. He'll get more money than
Okay.
that. But I think he's gonna stay. I think they're gonna end up having a starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG, Hartenstein. Like this Knicks team's gonna be fun to watch. You're gonna see if depth can outweigh superstars because obviously Jalen Brunson has kind of planted himself in that superstar category after last year for sure. But no one else on that team is, I would say, maybe even a star. You have some great role players out there, and then one star in Jalen Brunson. We'll see if depth really matters in the NBA or if it is just the star players.
I will say this: Tom Thibodeau, that style of basketball, that's like he's the
Hard nose.
He's the last coach who still believes in that. I would be very and he was. I mean, I don't want to.
He cost this great nation Derrick Rose.
He did. He did cost him Derrick Rose.
He had 28 points in that game, and he kept Derrick Rose in.
Don't bring that up around me and Chi-Town real estate as diehard Bulls fans. That's just a sour moment. Sour moment. Bet you guys didn't know I root for the Bulls.
Bulls, Stars, Cubs, Bengals.
If they're from Chicago, there's a chance that there's a really good shot I root for them.
Fair.
Could you name 5 Bulls?
All time.
Currently.
No,
Michael
currently.
Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Current.
We have DeMar
Yeah.
DeRozan. We just traded Caruso
For?
Some issues.
Some issues.
legal problems.
Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Rhymes
Josh
with
Giddey.
Diddy.
We're gonna unlock Josh Giddey's potential. We're gonna unlock his potential. He was seeing things a little too. I was gonna make a young joke. I couldn't get it. Couldn't get it out.
You can get it. You can get it.
Couldn't
You
get
can
it
do
out. No, but so if they get Jay Wright, if the Knicks somehow bring in Jay Wright to coach this Knicks team, does that mean that the Bengals have to get Coach O and JJ?
I'm in. If the Bengals could trade for Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, bring Thaddeus Moss out of
Moss.
retirement, and then get Coach O to be the head coach of that team, do you think Coach O would throw better or worse pizza parties than Zach Taylor? He wouldn't throw pizza parties. They'd be crawfish boils.
Better.
I like
it.
Coach O.
Did Thad Moss get drafted? He played.
No.
He never got drafted, right?
No, he was
It's just-
undrafted free agent and retired.
Okay.
He played for the Bengals for
Practice squad.
Yeah, practice squad. It was just a name that I knew played on that LSU team.
Every offseason, I was like, Thad Moss, make the Bengals roster this year. Be exciting. Nope, never happened.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's it for NBA talk, I guess.
Well, the NBA
Well,
draft
no,
is
NBA
tonight.
draft's tonight.
The NBA draft is tonight.
Oh my God.
Can you name 5 players in the NBA draft, Elliot?
I don't think I can name one.
Zachary Richardson.
Oh no, I can get Klingon. I know
Okay.
Klingon.
Future
And
Piston.
Bronny and Klingon.
That's good. That's good. Is this the first professional sports draft ever where the most popular player is like the 50th best?
Yeah.
I think
that is. I think that's the case.
I think this is the first professional sports draft that I didn't know was happening until the day before.
I knew when the
Certainly-
WNBA.
certainly-
I knew when the WNBA draft was.
Right.
I had no idea. Jacob just broke news.
Yeah.
I had no idea the NBA was drafting tonight. And to be quite honest, I couldn't care any less. There's no way I'm watching a second of that unless Bronny goes 1. If Bronny goes 1 overall, then I'll do it.
I hope so.
Just for the teams should do it just for the bit.
Bill
And that's
Simmons,
why they're doing
Bill
it.
Simmons says the best part of the Celtics winning the championship is picking 30 because they can take Bronny because his trade value is better than the value any pick at 30 would be.
Which is 100% true.
Probably.
That is true.
That's the part of it where it's if I'm a team and if I'm the team like the the Hornets, why not?
Hey, whoa.
Why not? Why not? And if you've had no success ever, why not take Bronny and
Hornets?
be like, hey LeBron, let's come over here.
Hornets are trending up. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller.
They make
Have
the
you guys
playoffs.
seen the chat? Have you guys seen the chat? The news in the chat?
What?
Nate Seltzer dropped
Yes,
some.
I saw the news in the chat, Reed.
Saw some chat. I'll read this out. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate. David Bell on Jamer Candelario's knee tendonitis. It's progressively not getting better, maybe a bit worse. He's still able to play. We're going to take a closer look at this morning to make sure that he can keep going. There's ways, an off day today, continuing to DH. There are things we can do to help him through it.
Huh.
At least he was honest this time.
We don't have
At least
major
he was
league players.
At least he was honest. The roster's a joke.
If Candelario gets an IL stint,
So who's
there's no major league players.
who's left? Let's go to Louisville. So Levi
Where's
Jordan's
Chucky
up.
Robinson at?
He just got signed somewhere.
We can get Chucky Robinson. We can do a little
Where did
trade.
he get DFA'd?
Trader. We can trade Connor Phillips.
Bring Bubba back.
We might have to.
God, Bubba, where is he at? Single A. I think his OBP is 250.
Is he still in the nude?
Double
Well,
A.
if Candyman goes down, does Hurdy come back?
Reese
I could get
Hines-
behind that.
Is Reese Hines on the IL?
No, Resigns hit like a 430-foot home run last night.
Okay, his OBP is 290.
Strikes out 48% of the time.
Yeah, that's tough.
Fits right in.
Connor Capel is hurt, I believe. Is that right, or is he?
He played last night.
He did play last. Okay, we can bring up Connor Capel again.
Are we going to give him at bats this time? We'd have to.
Yeah, Peyton. We can do Peyton Burdick.
Strikes out 44% of the time. Something like that.
298 his OBP.
He hit a home run 500 feet, though.
That's cool.
Always.
We have is Mike Ford down there? No, he's not.
No,
still down
he
there.
he opted out of that contract. He's fishing with Pops.
I see. We can bring up Austin wins again. Try it again.
Just
Can he play first?
Up, down, up, down.
Levon Soto is going to come up.
He's DHing today.
He is DHing today.
Oh, he is DHing.
He's
today.
DHing today. So
Are
correct.
you serious?
Good take.
What's the lineup? Do we have the lineup, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
You have the lineup.
Can we do a Jimmy lineup where you read it like a cool guy again? Like
Zerhusen?
Zerhusen?
If this just is just your way to make fun of me, I guess I'll do it.
I'm not making fun of you.
How mean is Elliott to Jimmy?
Yeah. We need to
Is
talk
Elliott
about that.
meaner to Jimmy than you are to Elliott?
No.
It's close.
I will do.
Here's what I'll say about the being mean thing to Elliott. I love Elliott truly with all my heart. I wish I didn't say some things to him sometimes. I wish that I wouldn't, because what it comes down to is we just see fandom differently, and I think that's just I sometimes say mean things to him because of it, which I don't mean anything mean by it. I just comes out. I'm sorry, Elliott. I guess this is me apologizing that we see sports differently, so I apologize.
You are not forgiven. Jim, continue.
I will do it once you admit that sometimes you're mean to me.
I'm sorry, Jim.
It's okay. I accept
You
it.
could have done the same bit. You could have just said, I'm not forgiven, too. That would have been funnier.
That would have been way funnier.
But that's okay. Thank
No,
you.
I accept it. All right. You ready?
Born for
We're
it.
waiting on it.
Born for it.
The people like this lineup. They don't.
They don't.
Leading off, second base, Jonathan India.
Stop. Let's stop right there. Great start. David Bell couldn't have cooked a better leadoff guy better than that.
Then you're going to love number 2.
Okay?
I hope.
Batting second,
Because if it's not,
the shortstop, Ellie De La Cruz.
oh, God bless. I thought that was going to be a bit, and it was going to be like
Yeah.
Espinal. We'd have an off day or something. Yeah, thank God.
If you like that, you're going to love number 3.
David Bell's on a roll.
David
right
Bell,
Just wait until
is
you
he
hear
2 for
this
2?
one.
now. 2 for 2.
I think he might be.
2 for 2.
Just wait until you hear this one. Batting third, the right fielder, Jake the Rake Fraley.
Power bat at third. I love it.
Power bat. Good power bat.
2 for 3. 2 for 3, but you got to play him because the other right fielder can't play baseball.
Right.
I wouldn't play him at third, but who knows?
Batting fourth, the first baseman, Spencer Steer.
Love it. 3 for 4.
Batting fifth, catcher, Tyler Stevenson.
He's been struggling, but
Bat him higher than
4 for 5.
better than anyone else.
Yeah, I was going to say, better than the other.
Can I look at Tyler Stevenson's stats real quick? Because I'm pretty sure he's been terrible over the past couple.
Dog water.
Tyler Stevenson, over his last 7 games, he's hitting 182, 217 OBP.
Cherry picking.
Tyler Stevenson, over his last 15, 190 with a 306 OBP, 310 slug. Last 30 games for Tyler Stevenson, 211 with a 283 OBP.
Going the wrong way.
And a 316 slug. He had a couple week stretch there. where he
211,
was
190,
really good,
160. That's not great.
but it's still better than the other guy.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Batting sixth, the left fielder, Nick, shaken not stirred, Martini.
Hate
Love
it.
Nick Martini in the field.
You can't shake it; it'll bruise the gin. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Batting
I don't know
seventh,
what it means. Bruise the gin?
Allegedly.
Batting seventh, third baseman, Santiago Espinal.
He's a player.
7's better than 5 for him.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly,
I'll
you're
take
right.
it. I'll count that as a win for DB.
Nah.
Batting eighth, the center fielder, with a great arm, Stuart Fairchild.
Everyday Stu.
Stewie Cannon.
Just what we dreamed of.
Stewie 090.
Batting
Picture
ninth,
today.
the designated hitter, Livan Soto.
Is it Levon or Livian?
Well,
I don't know. I'm sure Craig's gonna be in there to yell
Livan.
at me
I thought it
for
was an I.
mispronouncing. So whatever, Craig, whatever you say, I'll say it. But anyway, yeah. So I will take
The Pirates.
the Pirates money line.
Which means we're going to take the Reds.
Oh, it's also Graham Ashcraft pitching. So 4 innings.
But what if the Bulldog got some extra
How
energy
many-
from being in his cage
you
for,
might be
for a couple weeks?
you might be
He's
right.
going to come out ready to go.
A little pent up energy. How many pitches through 4 innings will Graham Ashcraft have? That poll question of the day. Except you don't have to actually put it in the poll. But poll question of the day.
I think I know how to do this.
How
30
many pitches will Graham Ashcraft have through 4 innings of baseball?
The options are 30 to 50,
Yeah.
50 to 70, 70 plus.
Yeah.
Will Ashcraft have through 4?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, you have to put a will not make it through 4 options.
Will not make it through 4.
Yes,
an option.
that's perfect.
That is an option.
Steve Ross says 70 plus. Colin Will says 50 to 70.
We have some breaking news in the sports
What
world.
are the numbers? What are the numbers again?
30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 plus. And then not through the 4th.
Not through the 4th.
Some breaking news in the sports
Cincy
world,
B,
Elliot.
69, I like that. Yep.
Tommy DeVito's agent. Do you remember that Italian fellow?
I do remember
from
him.
back in the day.
Yeah.
He just met with the Pope.
Really? How about that?
That's preposterous.
Do you think he signed the Pope to a long-term
He signed
deal?
a football and gave it to the Pope.
Really? How about that? Now I wonder if the Pope has contracts. Maybe he can work on being the Pope's
He's
contracts and
He's the Pope's agent.
that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
How many
Are
pitches?
we pulled up? Oh,
We're
we're pulled up.
How many pitches will Ashcraft have thrown through 4 innings? 30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 plus. Didn't make it. I'm going to go with 70 plus.
I'm going 50-70.
I'm going 50-70. I'm going to think 67.
67 exact. That would pay out pretty well, Jimbo.
It would. You guys know where I can get
That is
line?
interesting. What a world this Reds lineup is.
Roger Straz
quote.
with a
Yes,
great
Everett,
take
he is.
over 800.
Actually, no, he's not.
Or
We
gotta-
200. Roger Straz said he'll take the over 200.
Yeah, 200 might be in play.
It may be.
We gotta-
But you got to let the guys in. You got to save the bullpen.
Correct. If he's out there puking,
Let him be.
If he's out there puking, he's got a fever. He's running a 107 fever out there. Let him
be.
Let him keep going if he says he's fine.
If he has one arm and he says he's okay, he's okay.
Yeah, he's okay. He's fine. But that's it for our Reds talk.
Nope,
Think
one more
about the
thing.
No,
think
it's
about
not.
the day you could have today. If you sit down and you watch the Reds at 110, you watch the Cable Dodgers at 6.
Cubs
You
9.
watch the Cable Dodgers again at 8:30.
doubleheader.
And then you watch the Cubbies playing at 9:40.
We're gonna get like 300 pitches out of Reed tonight.
I will not probably pitch tonight. Okay. Maybe an inning. We play a team that hasn't won a game all year in game.
Oh, that's always fun.
Those are not fun. Those
Why?
I'd rather
That's like batting practice, though.
I would
you don't
rather
wanna-
lose by 20.
I'd rather have
I
batting
would rather lose by 20 to a good team than beat a team that can't catch a pop-up. That's what happens with these bad teams.
Now that seems crazy.
I'd rather compete.
Do they keep stats for this league? Like, is there?
Oh, yeah, there's
we
a
got
website.
We got a book.
we got a
There's
full
a website.
website. We've got a full website.
Okay, all right.
Stats.
Guess what?
You'd rather lose a game than win a game?
I would rather compete. I'd rather play a team that like is top of the league and they run rule us because I get to have fun at bats against a good pitcher over a guy like a 57-year-old man just lobbing it in there and then I just hit it to the outfield. And it doesn't matter where I hit it because it's just gonna drop.
I feel like that's not being competitive, though.
No,
Rather
it
being
is.
run
It is
rules than
exactly
winning?
competitive because there's nothing competitive about beating a team by 20. When you
Nothing
lose by
competitive
10,
than losing
I'm
by 10.
competing. Like I'm competing to beat this team. I could play left-handed and backwards and beat some of these teams.
I feel like the opposite of competitive is preferring to lose than win.
I gotta look up Reed Mouse's. This is great. I can look
What's
up.
that ERA at these days?
2.7.
Hello.
He blew up his last start too. He's still rocking a 2.7 ERA.
Pretty money.
Reed Mouse in 3 games. Has this not been updated?
Now I've only pitched 3 games.
Okay.
Because I was
You're right.
working and gone for a month for
3 games, 16 in 2/3 innings pitched. He's only allowed 12 hits, 11 runs, only 5 earned. Defense is helping you out. Is that the Reds
Is that
behind
Reds
you?
infield?
Who's in right field?
Our outfield's tough.
Really?
I'd love
runs, 5
if
earned.
any
With
Cable
that
Dodgers
infield,
are
your hit
watching
was
this.
definitely a hit.
We've got a good infield. Our outfield's a little tough.
ERA of 2.7. He's walked 10. You got a little bit of issue with your strikeout to walk ratio is not great. But I'll tell you what, you're doing good. Let's see your hitting stats real quick, and then we'll get to real serious whatever talk.
I have a real serious
OPS
quote.
of 1,000.
It's pretty good.
Reed Mouse is hitting 458 with a 519 OBP.
Cooperstown?
This might be someone who can get on the Reds.
Oh my! 3 stolen bases. You're Ellie De La Cruz. He's got a triple. Why is there only triple stats? There's no double or home run?
Haven't hit a double or a home run.
Oh, I see. But you hit a triple.
I did?
I like this.
That game, you were close to a cycle.
So you're the best player on your team then. There's no doubt about it.
No, I'm not.
You're not? You're hitting 500.
There's a kid that short. Well, I do more. I play more positions, but there's a Steven Salisbury's really, really good.
Shout out Steven.
Shout out Steven Salisbury, also a SoundCloud rapper.
Sure, he's great.
Same.
I
You
love
are?
I was.
Did you say same?
Yeah.
All right.
I was.
How many tracks are we talking about here? 2 tracks?
Jimmy SoundCloud.
Craig Sandlin did bring in what I was I'm batting 460. I have 1 extra base hit.
Frails.
It's tough. It's tough out there. They come in bunches. You look at last year's stats. I don't think I had an extra base hit to July, and then I think like next 12 hits.
We can't just skip over BBL Jimmy over here having a SoundCloud career. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to have to get those songs. If the Reds play today, we're going to have those songs on the members-only stream for sure.
Yes.
Okay, maybe.
No question about it.
Is there profanity in them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Rabb.
Did Notre Dame know this when they let you in?
Well, they were made with multiple people. So it was like a 4-person thing.
Are you the featured artist or the headliner?
I'm a feature.
Your feet?
Yeah. All right, do you want to hear David Bell's quote on Will Benson?
Please, I'd love to.
Let's hit it.
He's having a tough time. He's struggling.
Continue on.
Thanks, Dave.
He's struggling. He's not starting today. He could come off the bench today. I see him getting back in the lineup soon. We still believe in him. I believe in him completely and trust Will. I know he's going to get through this. He's athletic. He's talented. His attitude is amazing. It's a tough game to go through during tough times. He has shown the ability to do that.
188, 282, 372. I'm glad his attitude's good, though.
Do you think he went?
And he'll be back in the lineup soon.
Do you think David Bell went to AI and he's like, type me up something that could encourage a player that sucks, and that's the response they got? Because that was the most generic thing. And again, this is where it's like making fun of David Bell for that statement silly, because every coach, manager, whatever in the world has to say that to defend their player. But saying that, Nick Kroll, it's organizational malpractice to keep him on this roster. Somebody's better. But to end the show, Readeroo, we are going to be ranking positions in the NL Central.
Yeah, I was giving this out for more time, but I think we might be able to sneak it in. I thought it was interesting because I brought up something last week where I was thinking about the Cubs and I was thinking about Dansby Swanson, and it really came from this idea of, is Dansby Swanson the worst shortstop in the National League Central? And Dansby Swanson, who is struggling this year, is still a really good ball player. And, like, spoiler alert, he probably is the worst shortstop in the division. So I wanted to go through each division or each position and kind of rank the teams in the National League Central. So if you want me to just rip it off, I can give you the names and we'll start right at the catching position.
Please.
All right. So at catcher, we have, and this is going to have some weird rules because I didn't know what to do, like future team, who's currently playing, if you've been hurt. So I'm just going to be honest. It's kind of fluid. Who I consider, like, I didn't put Matt McClain in there because he hasn't played at all this year. We don't know if he's going to play this year. But, like, for catchers, I did put Wilson Contreras, who hasn't played in a month and isn't due to come back anytime soon. So it is kind of, you guys can poke holes all you want at the players that I decided to pick for each position. I understand. I just thought it'd be a fun exercise to see where this stacks up, and then we'll put a graphic out later today kind of ranking each team based on the positions. So at catcher, we have for the Cardinals, Wilson Contreras. For the Brewers, William Contreras. For the catchers, we have Tyler Stevenson and the Reds. For the Pirates, a three-headed monster, I guess, of Yasmani Grandal,
monster,
Joey Bart, and Henry
scary.
Davis. And for the Cubs, we have Miguel Amaya.
I think you just put them in order.
You would go Wilson over William?
William's way
Which
better.
one's the Brewer?
William.
William's better.
So I would go William Contreras 1, Wilson 2.
I'd go Stevenson 3.
I guess. I think I like the ceiling more from Henry Davis and Joey Bart, I guess.
We're both hurt right now.
Yeah. So then we'll go Stevenson. This is where the rules.
I was
rules are weird.
operating with Yasmani Grandal.
Let us know what you guys think. I think we're gonna go William, Wilson,
Yep.
Tyler, Yasmani, then the Cubs dead last because
Yes.
they might be the worst placed team in the entire Major League Baseball.
That's my list. That's my ranking.
Are those the two best catchers in the National League? JT Realmuto up there, obviously, too. But Contreras brothers, when healthy, are both incredible.
Will Smith.
Will Smith
is a
sure.
dog. Will Smith's a dog. But
For
yeah,
sure.
I really liked Wilson when he played for the Cubs, and then William I think is a ball player too. Hang on, I'm making this so I can still see the chat, making sure everyone. All right, coming in at first base.
Reds.
We put Candelario as the first baseman.
Okay.
That's what I.
Because
you have
CES is going to be gone for the rest of the
Steer
year.
and Left
Yeah.
and-
Right. Michael Bush for the Cubs, Paul Goldschmidt for the Cardinals, Rowdy Tellez for the Brewers, and Reese Hoskins for
Rowdy Tellez for the
Rowdy
Pirates.
Tellez for the Pirates and Reese Hoskins for the Brewers. Who's the best first baseman in the division?
I think it's still Goldie.
Goldschmidt's been bad this year. I mean, if
Yeah,
we're going
but I
off
think
this
it's
year,
still
though,
Goldie.
are we going off this year? Because if we're going off this year,
It's probably Reese.
it's definitely Reese Hines.
But
Or Reese
Hoskins.
Hoskins.
Second, it's a second blunder.
I would
I've had
I would
today.
still probably put Goldschmidt first, but I don't have a gripe if you want to put Hoskins first off of just the stats so far this year, and then I think Candelario's third, and then Bush Tellez 4-5.
I think, and this is where bias is coming in. I think I'm taking Michael Bush over Candelario. I know Bush hasn't been as hyped as other prospects, and mostly is that because he played for the Dodgers. He never had a chance. He was a top 20 prospect, and they traded him because they just had nowhere else to play for him. But I think I would still go Goldschmidt.
It's been very good.
I think I might even put Bush over Reese. I'll concede, and I'll put Reese Hoskins 2, Bush 3, Candy 4, and then Tellez 5.
Yeah, Fat Rowdy stinks. He stole a base off the Reds. Michael Bush is having a far better season than I thought. 13 doubles, 9 home runs, a triple. He's 260, 354.
Would you take that over
450
Candelario?
slug, 800 OPS. It's close.
It's definitely close.
I mean, yeah,
14 home runs versus 9 when all the other stats are close.
Yeah. I mean, terrible defense. Is he a good defender?
Yeah, how is Bush defensively?
'Cause
Not
Jamie-
great.
Jamer's
They
terrible.
need him to be better. Like the
Jamer's better at first and third, to
Yeah.
be fair.
Relatively.
His
yeah.
stats.
Let me put it this
are
way. I don't think
pulled down.
it's a noticeable difference between Candy and Bush at first
Fair.
base. I think it's pretty much the exact same defensive player.
Then I would go.
I think it's
Bush is
about the
younger
same.
with
I'd go
more
Candy.
athleticism.
I would go Candy just because of the power if everything else is pretty close to equal.
Bush also struggles against left-handed hitting
Candy
or
switches.
left-handed pitching. So, all right, fair enough.
I'll go Candy
We'll put
for
that
it.
in. All right, second baseman Nick Gonzalez, Nico Horner, putting Jonathan India, Nolan Gorman, Bryce Terang. Who's the best second baseman in the National League
At
Central?
this very moment, it's Jonathan India.
Oh, yeah.
I think this season, it's probably still Nico on the whole season, and India's 2. But right now, in this stretch, it's certainly Jonathan India.
It's Jonathan India as of this very second as we play this game. Nico Horner's stats, as I pull them up right
Struggling this year.
here. Oh, then he's better than Nico. Yeah, he's better than Nico. I thought Nico was having a better year. 242, 333,
I said he was
327.
struggling.
So, no, yeah, Jonathan India is by far the best.
Which is funny because he's not the best second baseman on the Reds.
Yeah, he's not the Bryce Terang is pretty clearly
Yeah,
the
Bryce
best.
Terang's
Bryce
the best.
Terang is pretty clearly the best second baseman.
Bryce Terang's hitting 290.
He's batting
wow.
290. He's got a 3.4 B WAR. His on base percentage is 360. Like Bryce Terang
Is he playing every day?
Yeah.
He's their everyday second baseman.
I'm going Bryce. I'm
Terang,
going.
India,
I'm
Horner.
going Bryce Terang. Sure. I mean, I would take Nico Horner over India because the defense.
I would too,
I
but
think I think actually
I would
don't
take
even
Nico
think it's
Horner
close.
over
I think you
India.
take Nico Horner over India.
I would.
Strictly because of the defense.
Nick
Nico Horner's
Gonzalez.
a great defense.
Steals bases, stole 35 bases last year.
India stole 2 last night. It's like over 300 base.
Nick Gonzalez
Just
last.
that game.
Nick Gonzalez last.
Last, he's hitting 282.
You'd have Nick Gonzalez, or you'd take Nolan Gorman
You take-
last?
yeah.
then?
Nolan Gorman's been bad, right?
Gorman is
All
probably
right. All right.
last. Yeah.
All right.
Nor-
Well, this
Gor-
is- this is why we're
Gorman
doing
can't
this.
play defense.
This is why we're doing this. Sorry, I'm still got this coming up.
It's okay.
All right, coming in at third base, we got Noelve Marte. That's who we picked as the third baseman for the Reds.
Coming back later this week. That seems fair.
Fair.
Christopher Morel, Nolan Arenado, Key Brian Hayes, Joey Ortiz. Pretty strong third base. Pretty strong at third base. Who do you
Arenado.
guys like the most?
I think Joey Ortiz this year is the best of them, but Arenado is pretty close statistically, and I think the name probably pushes him over the top. I'd probably go Arenado, Ortiz, then Brian Hayes, then Marte, then Morel.
I'd put Marte in last just because he hasn't played, but yeah.
Yeah.
Morel's just atrocious defensively.
I love Morel, and I won't hear any Morel slander. I love Christopher Morel. I'm going to have Christopher Morel second in my list. But yeah, probably realistically he's fourth.
I think that there's Joey Ortiz. By the way, the Brewers don't get enough credit for that trade
He's
for
been
Corbin
great.
Burns.
Right,
He's
he's
been
playing out of his mind.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That entire infield is pretty strong. Yeah, we're giving a lot of credit to a future Hall of Famer, Nolan Arenado. Sure, no doubt about it. Key Brian Hayes still hasn't found that bat. He's a great defender, still hasn't found that bat, and I'm starting to wonder if he'll ever find that bat.
Right.
If I'm being quite honest. But when it comes to like Christopher Morel, hasn't been as lucky. He's probably been the most unlucky hitter in baseball this year. He's taking much better at bats. He's finding the barrel a lot more. He's just only got a 190 batting average to show for it. I would probably have this Arenado, Joey Ortiz. I don't care how you do that one.
Fair.
Too.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm not going to argue either way. That's the 1-2. I think I'm putting Christopher Morel. I think I'm putting Christopher Morel 3rd, Key Bryan 4, Marte 5. I think that's how I want to do that. And with the
Is Morel a worse defender than Key Bryan
with
is
the
a
margin
bat?
between the bottom 3 being tiny.
Okay, fair.
With the margin being tiny 3, or the final 3 being.
I think it's fair to put Noel last just because you haven't seen him post juice, and he's struggled at AAA so far, so that's probably fair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do shortstops. This is what kind of sparked the whole conversation. Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, Mason Wynn, Willie Adames, Dansby, Swanson.
Ellie won.
I go Ellie, Adames, Wynn, O'Neal, Dansby.
I go Ellie, Wynn, Adames, O'Neal, Dansby.
Yeah, I think
So
I'm going
just flip
I'm
Wynn
going that
and
exact same way. I think
Adames.
I'm going Ellie, Wynn, Adames, O'Neal, Dansby.
I like Adames more than Wynn.
I also like Adames more than Wynn.
Mason Wynn's a gamer
Mason
this year.
Wynn's really
Based
good.
off what I've seen this year, he's an absolute
really good.
gamer. He's an absolute
Yeah.
gamer. So yeah, I'm taking Mason Wynn 2nd. Fair enough. All right, left
Mason,
field.
Mason Wynn's hitting really well.
I was looking at Mason Wynn's stats. Mason Wynn is a 2.7 WAR right now. Is that right?
B WAR.
2.8.
B WAR.
It's much different.
His F
This
was
is
not
so I
even
actually just
close.
saw. I think Bryce Spalding tweeted this out today.
He did.
About the difference between
Ellie.
and Mason Wynn from B WAR to F WAR, just the different calculations that you do to find wins. Obviously, B WAR favors Mason Wynn and F WAR favors Ellie De La Cruz. I would lean Ellie being the much better player, but yeah, I don't know. Been fantastic. Left field.
That's the best position group in the division by a margin, no?
Yeah, I thought that the third base division was actually much better
It's
than
good.
than I anticipated. This is where my Cubbies get a little bit better. Out in left field, Spencer Steer, Christian Yelich, Ian Happ, Brian Reynolds, Brandon Donovan is who I had for the Cardinals. The Cardinals play a lot of players, a lot of different positions.
Ryan Reynolds won.
I
Over Yelly?
don't think
Yelich
so.
won.
Brian Reynolds.
Yelich just won.
Yeah.
Yelich has been.
Brian Reynolds is on a 22-game
amazing
hit streak. I get that, but Yelich is better than Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds is hitting what this year? 280 with a what?
Yelich is hitting 317 with a 146 OPS plus.
146 OPS plus.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
I,
Yelich
I lost that one. Yelich and then Brian Reynolds.
Yeah, I think Reynolds is too.
And then Happer.
Happ has like a 360 on base percentage. Give me Ian Happ out there. He's pretty good defensively.
Happer, then Steer, then
And then I
Donovan.
think there's a steep cliff after those three. You bring it on way down for Steer than Brendan Donovan.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I think Steer is better than Donovan.
All right, center field, we've got Dylan Carlson, Cody Bellinger, TJ Friedel, Michael A. Taylor, and Sal Frelick. So I had for the Brewers. I think the best here is Cody.
Bellinger, Bellinger, Friedel,
Yeah.
when healthy, obviously.
When healthy.
Bellinger, Friedel, Frelick? And Michael A. Taylor's a good defender, but I can't get him dropping that fly ball out of my head last night.
That was.
That was ridiculous.
Sal Frelick's numbers.
0.8 WAR.
Oh, he's doing great. Sal
263.
Sal Frelick's doing good.
91 OPS.
Yeah, so we'll go Cody.
Plus.
We'll go Cody, TJ, Frelick. Are we going to put Frelick over TJ?
I probably would because he's healthy.
I mean, he's healthy right now, but I think TJ Friedel's a better player.
I think they're both fairly similar.
Michael A. Taylor, Dylan Carlson. That's how we'll do that.
Dylan Carlson's still in the league, huh? Good for him.
Yeah.
Right
Dylan
field.
Carlson's struggling.
Right field, this is where it gets a little funky because two teams, or really three teams, play just an absurd amount of people out in the outfield. I think the only team with a definitive outfield is the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
Seiya Suzuki out in right field. We'll just give the platoon Fraley, Will, Stu,
All right.
Jackson Churio, the Pirates platoon of Sawinski, Olivares, and Connor Joe. And
Last.
then, sure, Lars Nootbaar. This is where it gets real weird in today's,
So
today's game.
we'll take Seiya,
Seiya's one.
and then the rest are
Jackson Churio?
Jackson
Yeah,
Churio is
he's
going to be
two, and
Jackson
then the
Churio
rest-
will be one soon.
the rest are.
Oh, yeah. Just a reminder what I said
He's
yesterday. When a
incredible.
guy comes up at 20 years old, they almost never fail.
Yeah, he turns 21 next spring training.
That's
They,
crazy.
they almost never fail.
He's hitting 230 as a 20-year-old rookie.
Seiya dropped another fly ball the other night, by the way.
Maybe
Thought you
he's
guys,
two.
thought
Maybe
you
he's
guys
two.
would like that.
Did you say Sawinski had a -2 WAR? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
2 full games. That's crazy.
How
are you that
bad
bad?
do you have to be?
How are you that bad?
So Pirates are in last then. We're
Yeah.
saying that, and then Newt Bar's in fourth, and then the Reds are in third.
Sure. Pitching.
New bar's hurt right now.
Whose rotation you taking?
Cubs.
Pirates or Cubs? You're taking the Cubs 1?
Cubs 1, Pirates. Nah, Pirates 1, Cubs 2.
Brewers?
Brewers 3.
Cubs 1, Pirates 2.
I don't. Pirates top 3. With Mitch Keller pitching like this, I'm taking the Pirates.
I'd probably say Pirates 1.
Bailey Falter is he their 4 or their 5? Because he still
Cubs
has a
2,
sub
Reds
4.
He's
three.
their 4.
He's got a
But
3.70.
Shota has like an 8 in his last
Cardinals 5.
however many starts, right?
I'll go.
What we doing?
I'm just saying.
What we doing?
That's why I'm going to take the Pirates over the Cubs.
I'll go Pirates.
It's not like we're talking about NXL rotations or anything.
Pirates 1, Cubs 2, Reds 3.
Yeah, the Pirates ceiling's
Brewers
just way
4.
higher than the
It's
Cubs.
so
The-
high.
the
And
Pirates ceiling's just
Cardinals
so high.
5. Cardinals.
Jared Jones, like Mitch Keller, the thing that we don't talk about with Mitch Keller and his stats and everything like that is he's like his stats aren't great, but he throws 6 innings, 7 innings. Like you get competitive baseball from him
Yeah.
every single time. Bullpen, Cubs last.
Dead last.
Brewers 1, Reds
Yeah.
1.
Brewers 1.
Pie-Omps if Devin Williams is healthy.
I think the Pirates is pretty decent.
Pirates
I
are
think
good.
Pirates is probably third.
Pirates are
and
good.
Don't know much about the Brewers. Then we'll just do closer to round this out. David Bednar, Alexis Diaz, Trevor McGill, Ryan Hensley, and then whoever's just alive. Whoever has a pulse for the Cubs.
So Bednar won.
I think Ryan, right? Isn't Helsley, unless he's had a bad year. I don't know too much about him, but I'm pretty sure.
Trevor McGill's actually had the best year out of the 4 closers. Bednar and Diaz have had a pretty similar run to where they had a bunch of blown saves at the beginning of it, and then they turn around.
Yeah, Bednar struggled at the start of the year.
The Renegade.
So I'm going to say, okay, then I'll do
I guess you go McGill.
McGill 1 if he's been the best. Then I'm still going to put Helsley there. Halsey. Is it Helsley?
Helsley.
Helsley. Hellsbells. And then we do Alexis Diaz. Or
putting-
Bednar, then Alexis Diaz. And then
It's the same.
Then Cubbies.
Yeah. Cubbies.
Cubbies coming in at 5. Adbert, Hector,
How many decisions
Porter
is Hector up
Hodge.
to?
Porter Hodge. Drew Smiley closed the game the other night.
That's
What's
preposterous.
just insane. It's just insane.
Hector Neris is 6-2 as a closer.
Pretty good.
God,
How do you have 8 decisions?
that's a closer. Yeah, it's brutal.
All right, we'll get that graphic out later.
If you who has the best chance of making the playoffs outside of the Brewers?
Pirates.
Do you think it's the Pirates still?
I think so.
I'm starting to think it's Cardinals again. I'm starting if Goldschmidt.
Reed, what's that record since Mother's Day with Ted Grin?
It's not them. It's not the Reds. I think it could be Cardinals.
Cardinals are good.
Pirates offense kind of stinks outside of Brian Reynolds and
You have to score 2 runs a game.
it's true.
3 times out of 5.
It's true. That's the Brewers have done.
Yeah.
The Brewers have done that to a T. The Reds are 17-12 in their last 29, but that gap is closing. Thank you, Chase.
I mean, it's definitely the
17-12 in the last 29. I'd love to know what they were in the 25. Of cutting off like the last 4, cutting
Yeah.
off the last 10. Like,
Yeah.
This team was much better than that for a stretch.
I think it's definitely the Cardinals, but if there's going to be a team that's going to have more success in the postseason, I'd say it's the Pirates.
Yeah, it's true too. If the Pirates,
I think that's fair. That's a
if
fair
the
differentiation.
Pirates have a better chance to win a postseason series
Yeah,
than the Cardinals do.
for
That's
sure.
100% true.
Well,
Yes.
Cardinals always have the shake of just like Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Do you get hot for a week?
Yeah,
They're both MVP Hall of Famers. It's like that lineup looks a lot different if they're playing like they used to.
The Cardinals are a winning organization.
That is 100% true.
that's true.
All right, guys.
Cubbies.
Thank you so much for today's show. I hope you guys had fun. It's because it's not about the takes that are won or lost. It's about the friends you make along the way. Isn't that right, Elliot?
That's right.
We will, if the Reds do play at 1:10, we will be doing a live stream for the members. So be sure to jump in for that. We'll be watching the Reds game together. We got some things to get in the row. Just a reminder of what's going to happen here is what's gonna happen in the sea? Yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We might see you guys in an hour. So be it. Let me get out of here. Fade to black. And bye-bye.